So high up, can't fall now.
What's up, everybody? Hello, everyone, and welcome to the stream. It looks like IGN and the New World devs are teaming up here in just a few minutes to talk about their upcoming game. If you want to come talk about New World, your thoughts on the New World Aeternum edition, your questions, you can hit the top link in the description. You can jump in the Discord and you can join me. Thank you guys so much for being here. And if you enjoy the console, if you enjoy the content, be sure to hit that like button. It's a great free way of supporting the content here. What's going on? Code Breaker says excited for the console release. Actually, yes, but that's not to say that I'm absolutely thrilled with how the devs have handled everything. I put out a little bit of a rant video over on the YouTubes today. What's going on Twitch? What's going on YouTube? See here, bring back Floppy Dogs hanging out over on the Twitch today. Amazon doing damage control stream. I think this was scheduled. I think that over the course of Summer's Games Fest and hopefully the next couple of weeks, they're going to give us all kinds of crazy information. But like I said, I like running my streams like podcast. You guys can come and hang out, just like we have some people here already. Welcome, guys. Happy Saturday. This is a surprise stream. I had to go buy a fridge today, which was fun. It's like,
I love refrigerators.
I love refrigerators.
Have you seen that video?
No.
It's a funny video. I hope people got that reference.
Paul is asking, is there going to be an SEA launch? I think that's an excellent question, Paul. And one thing we know is that they are making their way kind of into that, Japanese area. They are going to be the ones who are hosting essentially Throne of Liberty in Japan. So it kind of makes sense that they're going to push into SEA. I think they need to, because I know there's a lot of people who want to play that, like, hey, let me know if it's ever in the SEA region, because being that it's an action combat game, you need that, you want that lower ping.
Obviously, it would have to be worth it, right?
Yeah.
ROI and cost benefit analysis, all that stuff.
I will probably be doing a lot more different MMO focused streams over here on the YouTube side for the MMO channel, guys. So if anybody wants to volunteer to be a mod, just sound off in the comments and I'll elevate your permissions. With PAX Day coming up here, I know I'm going to be doing, I'm looking forward to PAX Day. I like sandbox MMOs. I see, so I don't want to automatically be like, because you mod on channel A, I'm gonna, like, I don't want to put that kind of pressure on you guys. That's why I was like,
I do have it. Okay.
Oh, he says I'll do it.
I do have a thing. Okay.
Yeah, you already got mod permission. Yeah. I think we talked about that a while back, because there was, when it comes to playing New World on the internet, you're gonna get some trolls no matter what. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, Solemn, you have been promoted. What's up, MMO Bean? Thank you so much for also letting me know that IGN Live. Let's see what they got to say. Here we go.
And more, but there are even more games right here on IGN Live, plus a few very fun surprises we're excited to show you. But right now, we need to take a very quick break. Stick around, because the IGN Live Saturday Expo will be back right after this.
All right, they'll be back right after this.
Welcome back. You're watching IGN Live Day 2.
There's literally no
some really fun stuff planned, whether you're able to make it to LA.
WG, joining the membership right over here on the MMO channel. Let me increase our member count. I haven't reset it yet, so that's 52 of 75. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate you. You're like a member over here on Prime, on Twitch. The entirety of all my content is because of you. Everywhere. Hey, and you're also here in voice chat. What's up, Wes? I really appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Where's the
And I said I'll mod too. Might as well.
Yeah, this is not New World, right?
I hope not.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're showing a lot of mods there, but.
It's 2 years ago.
Whatever this was.
Trailer.
Yeah, this does not. Okay, they're building. I was like, yeah, this is like visually. This feels like it would feel like a step down to what New World was. That's why I was like, wait, but it had some of the aesthetics that I appreciated.
As far as I can tell, it's a bunch of stuff. It's gonna be a while.
You need the people to yeet and delete bad actors, Flup asks. Actually, we don't get that many trolls here, which is really nice.
Oddly enough.
Generally speaking, we'll have somebody like a bot will come in, and it's like, all right, and then you just block the bot. But YouTube is YouTube. There was a time where it was just like, I couldn't see what y'all were saying. Yes, you could.
We
Yes, you
both
could.
sold at the same time.
That's so funny. My wife is like, I can be a troll. Yeah, I think you could. Yeah, so Julie and I, we went and got a fridge today. It was I stood my ground and I lost, and she got her choice for fridge. So hopefully it's a good fridge.
Yeah. Lamp.
My voice is coming in okay.
Yeah, you sound good.
Okay. Just a different
It's like a
headset.
punch-out game.
Yeah, I know. I was like, interesting. Who's making this one? I don't think Nintendo, right?
Don't think so.
Big Boy Boxing. I was planning on working, babe, and I will. I was planning on working, and then it was like, oh, IGN Live is going to be showing some New World stuff, and I was like, well, let's see if the devs have anything good to share as an update.
It's a different kind of worky.
Well, honestly, I was thinking, I was like, if it's literally just more marketing where they're basically promoting the game to fallen away players and non-players, likely story. I was like, I can bring up my Visual Studio on my other monitor and do some coding. I think I'm gonna do that as long as it doesn't negatively impact the stream. Like, I need to convert this class into something a little bit more modern. Yes, Julie is my wife.
Sorry.
Your spouse unit.
My spouse unit. She is she's rocking the Final Fantasy Bard as her profile pic.
We are Smoke Jack.
I figured I would make dinner when you get back though.
Now,
Forge.
we take our first steps towards fulfilling the Great Father's hidden hope of returning home.
What is this? Mech Warrior?
Warriors selectively bred for war over generations.
Might be Mech Warrior.
Yeah, we haven't seen a Mech Warrior game in a long time.
Well, that guy's face is all
Yeah.
freaking cut up as hell. He got yeeted and deleted, or at least yeeted.
What the hell, Phil? Dude, it's your birthday week this week, and your support here at the channel has just been absolutely nuts. And like, I hadn't planned. I need to figure out something to do for y'all members. So for those of you who are on the stream, yeah, there are now. We got Phil just dropped 20 gifted memberships here on the channel. Phil, thank you so much. Let's bump that up. Let's see here. What's the member goal? That's 52, 62, 72.
You might as well make the goal 150 at this point.
Well, it's every 25 I gift out 5 members, you know, so it's like, the one thing I wish they would give me, and YouTube doesn't, so we have, I turn off all the like ad automators while I'm live, so I don't want it on YouTube to interrupt anybody with an ad. I wish that they would just let me say like, hey, members don't get ads, and then, you know, the people who aren't members then would get, you know, a potential ad or something like that, but YouTube doesn't give that perk. So I'm like, well, if you're not going to give me that, YouTube, I'm not gonna run ads
5 clans
while live. Phil dropping 20, and he they fixed that. So originally you couldn't gift out members if you weren't a member. So people were like, they were confused by that. So I was like, it looks like they fixed that. Thank you so much, Phil. I appreciate you so much. So Michael Evers says, what do I think about the future of New World after yesterday's big announcement? I actually think the future looks freaking bright. The console new release. This is their Realm Reborn moment, right? The problem is how they've handled it with their existing community. If you compare and contrast 1.0 to 2.0 for Final Fantasy 14, the devs were like, here's what we're working towards, and you're going to come along the journey with us. In New World situation, completely opposite of, we can't tell you what we're working on, but we're going to drop some light hints about it, and then we're going to be like, we're going to wait to this arbitrary moment, which no matter what, because they didn't deliver any kind of content, like if they said next week, new season's out. We've got a new expedition. We've got this. We got this. I think that would help that announcement go over way better. But that didn't happen, and so I'm going to turn this down because I can hear them slightly talking, and we're not actually paying attention to what is on the screen right now because we're still waiting for the New World devs. And so that feels like they're like, basically it sounds like what they're going to be asking for us to do. Holy freaking crap. Fluppy giving out 20 community subs over on Twitch. Holy crap, dude. Let's bump this up. Let's bump this up. All right. Problem is like I've been doing the gifted members over on Prime because that's where I've been making all the exclusive content. 7, 8, 9, that's 92. 7, 8, 9, yeah, out of 100. So that pushes us over. So I owe you guys 5 gifted members. Do you guys want to have the gifted members over here on the MMO channel, or do you want me to gift those members out over on the Prime channel? Keep in mind, this will be where the MMO content is produced. So from a content segment, that's going to be the dividing line. I haven't decided also, as just a general question for people, the Final Fantasy 14 controller guides for Dawn Trail, I haven't decided if I should put those on Prime or if I should put them over here on the MMO channel. So let me know what you guys think about that, because I think I would like some feedback. So much hype, so little payoff. That Phil, you did you summarized my half monologue there in one sentence, and beautifully well done, sir. Well executed. Let's see here.
Good evening.
Hey, Clink, man, how you been, buddy?
Oh, I've been busy. I've been pulling like 80-hour work weeks.
Dude,
Oof.
hopefully you're getting paid for that.
Yeah, I am. But yeah, I've been busy, and then on top of that, not sure if you've seen in the Discord, but I finally got my new computer up and running. I'm actually on it right now.
Dude, congrats on your new computer. I'm glad that your extra hours are paying you, and I think that sounds like that makes you feel like you're really excited about Dawn Trail's release with the graphics update.
Yep, and I got 4 days off for early access, so that'll be great.
Michael says, in follow-up to my analogy between Final Fantasy and New World, he does say that there was a bigger transition between 1.0 and 2.0 because they shift styles completely, where New World has been doing that over the course of this time.
That goes down tomorrow, but today, IGN Live continues right after this.
Oh, it's one of those right after this, which cuts right to whatever's next.
Since 1999, countless fans. And now the hilarious sci-fi series from Matt Groening and...
All right, it's an ad. I thought they were kicking this off at 4 o'clock, aka 2. So hopefully that is what it is. I haven't seen anybody, and I haven't gotten any audio feedback. Would you guys like the gifted members to roll out here on MMO, or what? You just tell me, and I'll take any kind of majority opinion, and no one said anything.
You got too many channels for us to decide on there, bud.
I know. And it's a good thing it's a good problem to have, though. It's a good problem to have. Your channel, your call. Dadgummit. I was hoping. All right, I'll do it here. I think that's...
You got to step up and make the decision, Brian.
Yeah, I know. Got to be a leader. Can't, let's see here. Can I gift from here? No. Once again, the dashboard's still not doing it. Let me pop out chat. And say boop, to boop, membership gifting. There we go. And there we go. They're still doing ads. Terry McGillis. There we go. We'll do it here. There we go.
But yeah, Wesley, thanks for your input for a bunch of stuff with helping with the new computer as well. Also, it helped me out a ton.
Can you like anything you want to share in terms of like what kind of graphics card did you get? What kind of processor?
Yeah, so I have I updated my old system, or I bought a whole new system. The graphics card that I'm running is a RTX 4070 Super TI or TI Super. Basically with that, I ran the Dawn Shell benchmark.
Yeah.
And on my old system, I was running a 3060, and I was only able to get up to like 16K on the score.
Yeah.
Which was at 1080p, which was just normal. Like I couldn't even get it to go up to like even 2K or 4K.
Okay.
And with the new system that I have, it's like tripling the performance, which is just nuts. But yeah, so I got 4070. I got the dual one by Asus, the 2 fan, because I didn't want to have the weight sag on the graphics card.
Yeah.
I got 64 gigs of the DDR5, 3 terabytes of M.2, and I'm trying to think what else. But
3 terabytes. Wow.
Yeah, I could upgrade it to 4, but yeah, I just took my old sticks out of my old
3 terabytes
system.
of the MM2. That's some fast memory. Yeah, I don't see anything on the site. I haven't pulled up IGN in a while, but went to the site and it's basically what we're watching right here. So we will see. We will see.
But yeah, overall, like my score on with the 3060 was like a 15.9, almost 16.
Yeah.
On 1080p, and with the update to the graphics card alone, this is now I'm playing 14 at 4K, still getting 205 frames a second, like on base.
Nice.
And when I ran the Dawn Shell benchmark, I almost got up to 30K on the score from 15, so it's basically almost doubled the performance.
Dude, that's awesome, man.
I didn't think it was going to be that big of a jump, but it surprised me.
That's great, man. That's great.
Well, especially if you engage any of the DLSS or FSR on a new benchmark.
Yeah.
It actually gives a big performance jump.
Exactly. I'm gonna unmute this for a second.
How's it going, boys?
What's happening, Solid?
Chilling, Destiny. Eating a giant man-witch.
Yeah. How's the latest expansion treating you, dude?
Pretty good, not gonna lie. I think a lot of people like the story as well.
Yeah.
I heard the raid is like crush your head against a wall and then stomp on it as well. I think they just recently beat the day one. Was it last night or today? It took them a long time. So people wanted a harder one. They gave them a harder one. But I've been having fun so far. Any of you guys been planning or thinking of jumping into it?
Not yet. Like I'm gonna let some time
right now.
Pass. Namely because like when I just look at my schedule with everything I want to try to do over the summer and kid events, I'm like I have to say no to some things, and so that right now is just, it's not like no forever. It's just I'm waiting, and I'll eventually pick it up and play it. Because like PAX Day, I want to level up and do the new jobs in 14 to kind of put out controller guides on that. That's all I'm kind of committing to, as opposed to like all the jobs is like probably not, but like that's a lot of work. Who knows? I don't want to overcommit, but that's going to be how it goes.
Well, you can kind of wait for the Destiny stuff if you want. Everything I've done so far, besides like 1 or 2 missions that automatically throw you in with people for like a strike or something, everything has been solo friendly so far. Even the missions after campaign, or so even the space that
Why
you open.
Why is it saying New World Aeternum
solo
later on the main stage? Like,
yeah, I see it. I don't know.
Is there like, because this feels like this is all
very end
pre-video. Okay, this is Sonic and Knuckles or something. Yeah, we'll see. We'll hang out. I mean, I pulled up Visual Studio. Might as well pull that up a little bit more. It's like,
I do know one game I'm looking forward to getting is I'm just not sure what system I want to buy it on.
Yeah.
Is the new Dragon Ball Budokai Tenkaichi game or
oh yeah, they
Sparking
just
Zero.
showed it, Sparking Zero, right?
I'll be getting that too. My son's definitely gonna want to play it.
Yeah, because I haven't played a Budokai game since like the first two, and the other ones just didn't like interest me.
Yeah.
And this one's brought back my interest like a lot.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good.
The machine is asking, did they miss anything? And the answer is not yet. They haven't even done the IGN stuff. Is this the Sonic stuff?
This is the Sonic stuff.
This is the Sonic stuff. So right now, they said the Aeternum stuff is later, but it is technically 2 o'clock. So they tweeted out that it was going to be at 2 o'clock. Maybe they had to shift the schedules around. Maybe they saw my angry rant video and were like, "Oh shit, we gotta fix
So, what do you
this."
think about it coming to console?
Absolutely winning, winning move. It's an absolute fantastic strategy. One of the things that's just like been, it's always interesting because gamers, there's this MMO weirdness that only exists in kind of, I think, this genre where we overhype a game and then we get tired of playing that game naturally and we go play another game, and so the numbers then fall, and so then people are like, oh, because all of these people didn't give up every other video game in existence and continue to just play this one game, dead game. And it's like, so you kind of have that. So them coming out with console, that gives them a whole new marketing budget. It gives them a whole new audience to pick up. They've made lots of improvements to the game. My concern as I get it. I'm actually pro console. I've been saying that they are going to come to console for a long time because it just makes sense, especially when you look at 2024 and MMOs in general. Like you want to bring in as many people as possible. And that definitely will help out a lot because there isn't a subscription fee to play this game, and that I think is going to be an interesting form of competition with established MMOs, because with Final Fantasy 14 being the only console subscription game, there are obviously optionals for ESO, but 14 is the only one that requires it. This will be an interesting thing to see if they're able to pick up and peel off any subscribers to like Final Fantasy. I think that's going to be what I'm kind of watching for. And it's also going to happen. It's landing at a time where people would start to burn out for Final Fantasy. So it's not going to be like, oh, Dawn Trail didn't live up to people's expectations. It's just going to be like, oh, I played Dawn Trail from July, August, September. Oh, New World. So that's where I think they're going to get a big pickup of players. So they're going to get a whole nother wave of hype, marketing spend, and so much more. And it will revitalize, I think, the game because it does have, I think, some really great content in it. The problem is, like I said before, if you just look at this year alone, the roadmap, like there hasn't been content. Now they brought in native controller support. I'm thrilled by that, but native controller support isn't content. It's quality of life. So where's the content? Like, are they literally saying like, hey, by the way, like 9 months without content? That feels like it's a WoW level-esque kind of move, right?
Yeah. I think it's going to be pretty nice I'm going to definitely pick it up on console.
It's still an MMO. Like, when it's all said and done, I saw your chat saying like it's not an MMO no more. That was, I felt like Jeff Keighley butchered that, etc. Now, modern MMOs versus something like sandbox MMOs like PAX Day, you have to have, if you're trying to play that solo, like that just overall increases your max difficulty, because it's just going to mean you're going to go slow and it's going to be much harder to do something. And that means it's going to have a smaller player base, and that's where it's going to be interesting to see if they are able, if an MMO like a sandbox MMO is able to come out and do what it needs to do.
Well, I'm curious. I haven't heard about any of the changes they've made that everyone's saying it's going to be not an MMO.
Well, and my root is in sandbox MMOs. That's where when I look at the MMO definition, I'm like, oh, it's not a sandbox. Well, what are we doing here? And so with PAX Day, that's why I'm excited about it. But I also recognize the challenges of somebody who is coming from like modern Final Fantasy, because Final Fantasy 14 1.0 was a sandbox. but 2.0 moved it into the theme park design. New World has shifted to the theme park. I personally am rooting for a hybrid of the theme park and the sandbox, where you would call that like a sand park, and that's what Ashes is trying to kind of market itself as. But when it's all said and done, it's going to be interesting to see. So I'm personally excited for PAX Day. I think that's going to become my cozy MMO, where it's like, because they already announced GeForce Now support, it has some kind of controller support already in the game, but I'm going to have to play around more with that and try to give you guys some kind of setup recommendations for my fellow controller players out there. And but yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I really hope that it's a success. But at the same time, I'm just like, I think a lot of people think they want, and then they're like, wait, I don't want an MMO to be my job. And it's like, well, I mean, sandboxes, it all depends on your own discipline when it comes to consuming games.
I feel like those are the MMOs people generally really like to play. They're the ones that kind of are your job. Yeah. Versus the pick them up, put them down kind.
MMO also for some has become, like a word that we saw Destiny specifically avoid that label for the longest time before they went and said, yeah, we're an MMO. Namely because there are people that have predefined, kind of views of what that means. I think that's changing though. I think that's going to be.
I think I'm one of them. I always say, man, Destiny, they want to be an MMO, but to me, it's always like WoW style MMO is the kind.
WoW is WoW and Phantasy Star are their design influences. Like Destiny, especially as it launched, like it was like, if you want to go see something, and if you're a Phantasy Star Online fan, like you go look that up and you're like, holy, like you can't unsee it once you see it. But with the WoW influences, my whole thing, the thing I don't like about modern MMOs, and I'm going to use the word modern kind of with a little bit of a negative context, is the artificial FOMO that they seem to try and induce. So MMOs already have FOMO. Like you want to, oh man, I can't believe I missed that event, right? Like that are kind of built into the core of the game. It's the stuff that it's like, this is only going to run for 3 weeks and then it's gone forever. Like, why? Like, stop making content. Like, keep it in the game. Oh, and it can go, and things that could go away, but just bring them back, right? Final Fantasy 14, I think, has been doing a really good job at that, where they bring back events that they've run in the past. The one thing I wish they would change is that on the seasonal events that happen every year, like we got Moonfire Fair that's coming up this summer, I wish they would let people kind of play through the story who are just now joining the game, so that they would, when Moonfire Fair kicks off, they could start with quest number 1 that happened 10 years ago, and then they could play all the way through and get caught up. And so they could grind it out, or if they don't finish it, then next year comes out and it adds like that new chapter, etc. And I'm fine with seasons. It's the fact that they took content away. The story that they wrote and made and the characters went away. When somebody's coming in and saying, hey, I'm on season 3 story, what's going on? Oh, I can't find chapter 1 or chapter 2. And I don't want to advocate for YouTubers to be the solution to these problems, right? Like, oh, if you want to know the story of season 1, you got to go watch a Ginger Prime video or something like that. Like, I don't think that's the solution. I think that's lazy.
Yeah, I'd rather see end-game things for stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm excited to see if New World coming to console can kind of set a precedence to more people to try to bring MMOs to console.
I think we're seeing that regardless, because Throne Liberty's coming to console, Blue Protocol's coming to console, even though Blue Protocol's more MMO light than MMO, but so it's gonna be interesting. And we did get content announcements. Dot's channel in chat says, if I'm correct, they announced a 10-player raid, 3 different bosses that you basically get to move your way through, and that is correct. So I guess a traditional raid is coming, and it's going to be interesting to see, because it would almost start to kind of entail that they're going to kind of have this yearly, content drop like ESO does, right? So we're getting a raid. Destiny does the same thing. They get their raid. It becomes a big event, and sometimes they have other stuff that kind of happens during the year, but generally speaking, it's once a year for their World First race that seems to happen there. And I could see New World kind of also taking on that same kind of content schedule, if that makes sense, which would mean you would see New World, pop up big, and then you would just kind of see people kind of hanging out in it that want to hang out in it until the next big content drop, which if they were focusing it on that like as a once a year, the content drop would then be much more significant, I think. And who knows? I'd like to, if you guys have any thoughts on that one, that was actually one of the things like where Michael says the FOMO is real in New World, where as they added more and more of that, I just pulled away more and more. I'm like, all right, I'm not gonna, I won't be able to finish this story, so I'm just not gonna start the story because I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, I'm sorry, kids, I gotta stay up. Dad's got to stay up late so he can get this, piece of whatever. It's like, no, I just set it down and forget it.
Yeah. Makes sense. Not everyone can do the degenerate gamer lifestyle like some of us.
Well, it's not even that. Like, I think
later than you should.
I think the other thing when we think about the idea that comparison is the thief of joy, is that when you think of it in the terms of like content creators, right? I have an advantage over like Joe, somebody who's like got to go to work, etc. Because I have a community that is incredibly generous and supportive, and so it's like I get this opportunity to play games. So I would say for a father of 6 out there, I probably get more game time than I should. It's like it's like cool. All right, I get to play some video games. This is great. But obviously, then you look at it and you like from a content creator perspective, I'm not the Asmon. I'm not these big full timers. In fact, it seems strange to me that people are like, I want to grow on YouTube and then I'm going to cut over to Twitch and I'm going to be live all the time playing games. I'm like, that sounds like a nightmare. Like that is like my worst case scenario. But the benefits that has is that you can then put in so much more time into the game itself. You become the source matter expert, you release the content and you get discovered and you grow at a faster rate. And it's like, yeah, so what's up, Shaz? Shaz is thanking Phil for the membership. You all help moderate? Yes, we are promoting you. It's a trap. It's a trap. Cool. There we go. I honestly, it's like, I think it's like if you like to have, and I wish they would update some of the symbols because like the wrench by the name just seems a little bit kind of like weird YouTube, but YouTube's always kind of doing its thing. Yeah. I think I would like that. The thing they did add, which I like, let me see here, channel activity. I can now see people's channel activity because like Michael wrote on New World Controller Gameplay, how does the controller support feel? It feels great. Like, I think they did an excellent job on the controller support. So we have that? I'm going to see if they added that into just standard YouTube comments, because sometimes it's more that you get those spicy comments and you're like, have I talked to you before? Let's see here.
Overrated.
No, they don't have that on the back of the back end. Okay, no big deal. Overrated. Like, it'd be cool if we could recall every sound effect of Mike. Mike on this day is he did the emotional damage. What's up, Jag? How you doing today?
Emotional damage.
Excellent. Well done, sir. Jace says, I feel like people would rather play looter shooters instead of MMOs to skip the whole grind process. Yeah, also maybe even from a generational perspective, right?
Well, go ahead. It's generational because MMO players are older.
Yeah,
generally.
Oh heck yeah, man! I'm like, my hair is full on retreat.
Most of us will be there eventually. Don't worry.
Shave it all off and get the wax ready.
What's up?
Just shave it all off and wax.
I keep trimming it shorter and shorter and shorter. So we're gonna play around with that and see how that goes. Hey, what's up, King? Always enjoy seeing you around here, dude. How you doing today? All right. All right. Start kind of seeding all this stuff. Skinny Noodle, great name by the way, says just tuned in. Did they give us anything new or is it the same as yesterday? So they were supposed to be up around 30 minutes ago, and then it's like, oh, Sonic, etc. So they either tweeted out the wrong time, but they did say the New World Aeternum is coming up on the schedule. So
they meant like it's on the show that starts at 2.
That makes sense. So it seems like then We'll see if they update the schedule now that they've done finished talking with the Sonic team, etc. So we're just hanging out. We're gonna see. I've got them muted because they're just talking and we're talking too. So there's I haven't found anything worth reacting to on that regards. King just says, I just watched a video about New World with some things that were badly missing. Like, what was missing from the video, or like things they're adding to the game? Yes, dungeon matchmaking is now a thing, Geese, and they also have it with cross server matching, so that the queue times are actually like, I've been playing as a healer, been incredible. Like it's really nice and easy to jump in and actually do some content,
Jagnarok a little bit earlier said, anyone feel lost for an MMO to play?
Anybody feel lost?
Like for an MMO to play, like they don't know,
like you want to play one and don't feel like you have one you want to play.
What kind of MMO? What kind of game? Like, MMO is such a broad term that.
Well, he said MMORPG, but I'm basically
right. Well, yeah, I think we're all in the same category.
By that, he'd mean like more traditional MMO, maybe.
Well, I mean, PAX Day is definitely going to fall into that traditional style, which I'm really excited to see how the internet reacts to it, because full loop PvP, which is optional PvP, but full loop PvP, all right. Like a lot of people, I see them in the comments going, I want, and it's, there's a consequence, like that's okay. Yeah, I like that. I think that's cool, but it's like, there's the drama in and of itself almost writes itself. But if that ends up becoming kind of the thing where you're like, I want to know what's going on with this community because it's just nuts, you could probably see hopefully some content creators kind of driving that forward. Let's see here. Michael says, with Final Fantasy 14, you can just continue on your character regarding 14 is cross progression as well. New World announced cross play but not cross progression, and I didn't expect them to go with cross progression, because I was like, oh, that's probably a little bit harder to do, but at least it's cross play. At a minimum, it needed cross play, and okay, that means for me, I'm not going to be picking up the Xbox version, because why would I? I'll just play that on GeForce Now anyway.
Which game are we talking about?
The New World Aeternum. But I'm going to pick up PAX Day here next week. I think my Twitch payout comes in and I should have enough money to cover the $100.
Should be fun.
King's asking, what are your thoughts on Once Human? I've been trying to get to where I could play that game and they haven't let me in. So I'm looking forward to when that game comes out, because I've heard a lot of really good things about it, and that might be a lot of fun to play. I don't fully know what kind of game it is, and we saw the trailer, so it's coming pretty soon. The other game I'm looking forward to, I enjoyed the gameplay, is why is I drawing a blank? It has that D in it. Let me pull up my Discord and scroll down. No, the First Descendant.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to that one.
It's like the combat in that's really great, and that's dropping on like Final Fantasy 14 official launch day. So I don't know if I'll be grinding that. We'll see. We're doing my daughter's birthday that weekend, so I took off for Friday so I could play some the Final Fantasy Dawn Trail launch and level up my Pictomancer, and then I think I'm probably gonna be pretty tired, so I don't know where I will fall with First Descendant. Again, you got to pick and choose, like where do I want to put my time, and maybe next week, I mean, I guess the worst case scenario, like the 18th is here in 10 days, so we're looking at maybe next week we'll see patch 3 for No Rest for the Wicked, or maybe they'll let it go a little bit longer. But it's June was always going to be a packed month. That's why I was like, you know what, I think I will just hold off on Destiny for now, because if I purchased it, I wouldn't have time to play. It's like, all right.
Yeah, it's definitely a very big month, so it's going to be rough to. It's probably especially for content creation to try to get everything in you want to cover.
Do you have to create a brand new character to play with console players?
I would no. So your character is your character. If you go to console, it will probably make you make a new character, I think, because it's a different technical account. But no, like if you have the game, you have the game. So that's going to be the case. Now, you will either have to purchase this edition, but if you have the expansion, which they do these credible sales, so then if you don't,
characters.
Which part about characters?
He's talking about, do you have to create a brand new character to play with console players?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's crossplay. So you get to go in your character that exists right now. And that's where it's going to be, I think, from a community perspective, the increase of players will naturally be a piece of content because there is some sandbox elements to New World, right? And it's those that are driven off the player. And whenever the player numbers drop, you feel like that's where it gets hit. The instance content, you can find matches, you can get into dungeons, you can do all these different things, and it ends up being pretty good. Yeah, I really enjoyed the first Descendant, guys. Like it was a lot of fun, and I was like, oh, cool, I'm gonna have to check this out. But with everything, like there's only so many hours in the day, and I'm enjoying playing Elden Ring. I'm enjoying all these other games, and yeah. So I'm just not gonna stress myself out.
Grind game, so you probably will need time for it.
Right, and so that might be
don't start unless you're gonna be able to play kind of thing.
If they put it up, if it's on GeForce Now, that's going to be so much easier for me because that means I can play it when I'm not sitting here at this desk. And one of the things I try to do, it's me and my dad were talking about it. It's like, while yes, I try to have some quality time with the kids, I'm actually more interested in quantity of time with the kids. So anytime that even if it's, if we're all just kind of hanging out downstairs, and if they're like, hey, Dad, I want to watch, a Blippi or something. Okay, cool. I might, grind, some level on my handheld, and that just gives me, and that's where it's like with No Rest. Like I put more hours into No Rest than I was like, if it just doesn't even compare. Let me bring up my Steam here real quick. Let me unmute this. Let's see here. Who are these guys?
I think they're
now here to tell us how we can do our part to defeat the bug menace. Please welcome Peter Maurice, Chaz Barker, and Gareth Woods from Off-World Industries. Give it up!
I think.
Woo! But we have one more special guest, ladies and gentlemen. Johnny Rico himself, Casper Van Dien. Give it up!
I don't know any of these guys. All right, cool. We don't need to listen to them. Whoop. 77.7 hours currently in No Rest for the Wicked, which is awesome. And then if I go look at, see here, Street Fighter is actually going up now. Elden Ring, I'm at 18 hours now. So it's like, but Elden Ring isn't on GeForce Now, and that would go up much, much higher.
Right.
What if that actually, like, I tweeted out, like, it needs to come, please come. And the guys at the GeForce Now team, they're like, yeah, we agree. If that ends up being kind of paired with the Shadow of the Erdtree launch later this year, I think I'll have to kind of coordinate with Yemrin in chat just because I'm like, hey, I'm going to play. Is there certain times? Like, what are the signs that you're like, no, we want to watch your experience of X, Y, or Z. So we'll figure out how that would look, because it's like sometimes I was playing 16. And the number one, the one piece of 16 that I don't actually have footage of my reaction is the Bahamut fight. So I was like, all right, but then that was incredible. Like I was like, I loved it. It was wonderful.
There's a couple bosses that I'd like to see your.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, and if it's like those bosses are always behind those golden doors, so then it's like, oh, cool, golden door. Gold, as opposed to like I was running around the open world and this thing happened, and you're like, oh no, I missed it.
Usually there's a golden door. Sometimes there isn't. Sometimes you have to start the cutscene before the golden door appears. But
chat saying there people are spamming hashtag fire Scott Lane. I think Scott's doing a great job. I don't think he handled this announcement. And maybe there was the direction.
I mean, he's the game director, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think
Scott Lane is the Phil Spencer of Amazon. Always promises nice things, but never happens, and always have to come out and apologize. Oh, dude. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I generally, I don't usually read the official chat, but that is freaking hilarious. Yeah, like, oh gosh, they just, I really do feel for like the veteran. Like, if it was that, okay, guys, like this year we were working on something big. It's going to be, obviously for the release, we're going to give you more details. But there's just not going to be a lot of content. Oh, we'll tell you in June. It's like, okay, well,
I mean, I was looking for a reason to come back, but
yeah,
not right now.
Content is king, and if it's like, all right, we're just not releasing content, like, okay.
The issue is, my whole thing is that I just don't like how they implemented seasons. I think their iteration of seasons is not good.
Yeah,
to say the least.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate.
I'm excited to play TFD. It's the Final Descent, the First Descendant. I keep thinking it's the Final Descendant. I don't know why.
Oh, dude, I don't like the name. If I was going to critique
the name is terrible.
I'm like, come on.
It's like there better be like why is it the First Descendant? There are like a bunch of people here, like a bunch of different characters.
Yeah, it's like maybe some of the story, but it's like the name. I'm like, maybe all the cool names are taken. Oh, New World is getting review bombed on Steam right now.
Yeah.
Oh, gamers.
Probably for veteran players.
Yeah, I would assume that's where it's coming from. It's like we're gonna have a Helldivers 2 moment as a community.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. Turn up a little bit of music.
Let's see. History. Yeah. So currently,
yeah, I do hope that we get a dev update soon where what the devs did not do was talk to their current community. And that in and of itself, I think, was the biggest, kick in the balls from yesterday's event. Like, I get, and I'm fine if they want to talk to a wider community. And that makes sense to have that at this event. And if they wanted to save the console announcement for that, but they have left us utterly and completely in the dark, and the fact is like, oh, they're going to tease swimming. Just beyond, like, all right, like swimming isn't, that wasn't the one thing that was keeping, Jim Bob from buying the game. Well, it doesn't have swimming.
That was a minor thing to me. I actually didn't really care.
Yeah. I honestly, I was constantly surprised by how that was like, I would see that comment over and over again. Has it got swimming yet? Man.
Yeah, it's like, why would that be important? This is weird.
Swimming in mounts.
Well, and they did add mounts, so it's like,
they
yeah, and they already could like, hey, yeah, we're gonna add the things that people say that we should add. It's like, I get it,
Yeah.
Yeah, raids are coming. That's, I think, going to be a value for sure.
So, the official dev announcement update. 729 likes to 3K dislikes.
I'm one of those dislikes.
Yeah.
Double smash the button. Count as 2.
Triple smash.
Yeah, I think what we will see though is that in the fall, like once people kind of process this, etc., they need to tell us what, like, are we playing the game from now until the release? Like, is there any reason to? Like, that's something they need to figure out, and that's on them.
Yeah. I mean, a dev update soon. I think they need to do damage control.
They just need to talk to their community, and they didn't do that.
Well, they didn't, like you said. It doesn't feel like they actually communicated with their It doesn't feel like they consulted their community at all.
Well, I think that's been what a lot of people. Well, and that's hard because it really just depends. Like for me, them adding in controller support, them doing console, like all of these, kind of like, yeah, this would be really good. And it's like we just want some more content, right?
I mean, this sort of thing is kind of.
We didn't get a dungeon this last patch, and okay, like, well, wait.
It feels like
the next dungeon.
They're. What's the word I'm thinking of? Not relegated. It feels like they've disregarded their community for their core fan base.
Yeah.
For the sake of a new one.
Yes, I think that you can. That is definitely how I feel.
And that is a betrayal of the highest order.
Dot's channel puts it beautifully. It could have been so easy for them to have a short video stating that a dev update for the PC players would come later or shortly, right?
Yeah.
If it was like, hey, and for everybody else, for our current community, tune in on Monday. We're going to be talking to you guys directly, right? Mm-hmm. Cool. Hey guys, guess what? On Monday, we get to get together right now. And I think that that's going to be what happens because they're not blind to our frustrations, right? This isn't an isolated incident. It isn't that Brian is the only person who isn't satisfied and happy by how they did it. No, this is for once, or for as rare as it is, I'm in the majority opinion. And yeah, like, all right, they can't be blind to that. I know that I don't, whether they're watching me specifically, I know that they're taking that in, but yeah, that's exactly what they should have done. And they can still do that. So they might do that here today. Hey guys, we're going to talk to the current PC players. Now, I don't think today is also about the current players. And so if they can go and say, you know what, on Monday's Forged in Aeternum, we're going to be talking directly to our PC players. Great. I'm looking forward to Forged in Aeternum on Monday. Let's go. Now that the announcements have come, let's talk about what's coming right now. But I do fear that the current game, or whatever we end up playing until the official new re-release, are we just now beta players for that? Like, is that where everything is going to be? Yeah, just a quick note. Just acknowledge us. I think that would be really, I would appreciate it.
No, they're just going to do a sit down. Someone, I think it was Leroy Jenkins, posted a Twitter thing that they already went on, but they're coming. The IGN live is on a delay, so
yeah.
So they already went up there, apparently.
Okay, so they went up and did their thing, and we're just watching it behind the, as it catches up.
Yeah.
Cool. So that makes sense. Yeah. In case, I think people don't want to do anything that gets them in trouble on the live stream. The 5,000 peak concurrent is anxiously waiting for acknowledgement that we exist. Yes, Haybert, 100%.
Yeah.
What's OSRS poll system is needed? Yeah.
Old school RuneScape, they do polls to see what changes you want to make to the game.
Oh,
so they stay true to the old design of RuneScape, but still able to make new and innovative changes without losing that spirit.
Well, because it's
an old version of current RuneScape.
It's democracy.
Yeah.
In that
so
regard,
they actually do polls in.
Well, it's also the player based, right? It's like, what do the players want? They want this stuff. Right?
Yeah. Old school RuneScape is still one of the more, it's a very popular version of RuneScape. So
it's more popular than retail.
Yeah, it's more popular than actual current RuneScape.
Yeah.
It's like the classic WoW of RuneScape, but I want to say RuneScape did theirs first. As far as going back,
they did, but also retail WoW is more popular than classic, I think.
Yep. So they have the opposite things going on.
Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, I'm an OSRS fan. I grew up on that type of RuneScape, and I was obsessed with it as a kid. I'd ride 30 minutes on my bike, crossing a bunch of main streets just to get to the library to get on the computer to play it when I was young.
All right, let me see. I'm going to see if my API will run You might see my API pop up on the screen just as a heads up, chat. We'll see here when it finishes. Let's see if it runs into an error. Oh, my database is offline. It's going to be like, meh. 1 second. Let me turn on my database. The 150. So 150, 820, 9. So just under 1,000 hours.
Mm-hmm. Name 2 systems you would like to have in New World.
2 systems that I would like
to have in New World.
Updated company stuff. Like it, I would love to have some form of company questing and housing and storage. You know, something of that nature.
I've been saying company storage for a long ass time.
Yeah,
company storage and housing would be
nice. And player aptitude levels that also related to the weapon. Like when XP becomes irrelevant in a video game, it really does frustrate me. It doesn't mean I don't need XP to be a form of progression. Gears 5 feeling, one of the things I love about the Gears series is that you're always just a moment away from unlocking some other thing because they have all of these little things that you can chase, and you're always just like, all right, I got that done. I got 1,000 kills, and then it's like, oh, did you know that if you shoot 5 more bullets, you'll unlock the next thing? I'm like, oh, I did not. That's cool. All right, and then it just keeps daisy chaining you, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh man, I'm at 2,000. You know, so it isn't such a grind because you're getting all these little like, hey, what an interesting thing, and they kind of got that tiered out. And obviously they have bigger things that you can go and do in that game, which are much greater. And so the same kind of concept here. It's like, just gamify it. Let's go. Yeah, weapon leaderboards, rankings, like, and again, it's not that I don't want power to be associated with it because then it will become something where people feel like they have to do it. But if you're having fun and you're playing around and all of a sudden you're like, yeah, I'm running, mutations, and it's like, boom, hey, did you know you hit level 20? You're at 25, post levels on that weapon. You're like, cool. All right, cool. I got a little bit of a loot box of stuff that I open up, and it's like, yeah, it's just doesn't have it literally could, like, I feel like they could literally take their crafting and gathering system and then just put that on top of this same concept. You get stuff for it. Thank you for continuing to play our game. Dungeons that you could enter in solo would be so fun. That'd be interesting. Right now it's a 3. I'm glad they added
like a trust system.
Yeah, well, I think it's it's my voice cracks. Yeah, I think it would be more like how in Destiny you would challenge dungeon solo, like how there's a player base that it's like.
So definitely.
So it depends. I guess you could kind of do something like Lost Sectors in Destiny, or if you want it to actually be like extremely challenging, then I guess you would do like actual solo Destiny dungeons.
Yeah, I'm gonna go grab some water. I'm gonna go grab some water, but I'll be able to hear you because I got my wireless headphones. So I'm just letting you guys know. They're still talking to these guys. I'm gonna just go get a drink because I'm thirsty. Be right back.
This game looks interesting.
Yeah, so for a solo Destiny dungeon, you're gonna need a pretty specialized build, quite a bit of skill. And I guess it depends. Most people try to solo flawless them, which means you cannot die.
Or are they talking about extraction shooter style dungeons? No thanks. Leave that to an extraction shooter.
Yeah.
I think I don't know if they're talking about like that, or they're talking about like
solo
a dungeon that is scaled for solo.
Hard. Like a lot of people are not gonna do them. So I think more like a Lost Sector is like a mini soloable dungeon. I mean, they're kind of small in Destiny. You can make them a little bigger in New World, but
that's not really a dungeon. Like a Lost Sector is not really a dungeon.
Well, I mean, as far as casual play solo, that's the closest thing I can think of. Now, if you're talking really hard, then I guess just regular Destiny dungeon solo. But those are like a majority of the play, like 90-something% of the player base do not do that.
I'm talking about something that's not even in line with Destiny. In terms of like basically a dungeon that's a solo dungeon, like not even difficulty for multiple players, just the dungeon is designed for one person.
Thank you guys for the 25 likes, by the way.
It doesn't have
something like Criterion from like 14.
I would say more along the lines of like
you can do it solo and then it just scales depending on how many people you have.
Yeah, that sounds like it.
Yeah, I'm fine with scales. Questox says, did they do the New World segment yet? I stepped out to cook some food. No, they have. Now, we've heard that it's actually been filmed, so this is kind of like pre-filmed. And so that's been done and it's coming up. We all haven't got to see it yet.
Yeah.
I don't know what I broke, so I'm rolling back my changes. Yeah, man. Anytime, dude. Coggle says AGS is supposed to come out after the CYGI presentation, but they did just skip 2 hours of the schedule between the Starship Troopers game and what's up now. I don't understand.
Wait. AGS is supposed to come after the Signy presentation, but they did just skip 2 hours of the schedule between the Starship Troopers game and what's up now.
Okay.
So I guess there was 2 hours between this game and the Starship Troopers game that was supposed to happen, but they removed it, I guess. I don't know.
Is this the CGI whatever game?
Yeah, this is the Signy game, yeah.
Okay,
so
cool.
Interesting.
Well, good. That means that we're close.
I'm not sure. It's like from Konami, which is not great, but seems interesting. More boss arenas, yeah, with good mechanic, yeah. Boss arenas would be cool. But I don't know how popular those are. Although, ever since they implemented artifacts for those boss arenas, they've been, from what I've seen, they've been popping off, but from what I know. The more I play New World, the more I miss the game Vanguard Saga of Heroes. Raids, overland bosses, an incredible crafting system, player and guild housing, and boats. Major work for Flying Mount.
I mean, I personally took a very long break from New World, so I feel like when it hits console, I'm gonna feel pretty refreshed to play it by then.
Yeah, for me, that's gonna, like, for people who haven't been keeping up with the game, like this is gonna be great.
Yeah.
And for new people jumping in, I guess we'll see how that new player to current experience is.
I mean, that's good butter stuff.
I rolled this back. Let me just see. We'll find out.
Man, New World's crafting system needs a bit of a tweak.
Arg, what did I do on my back end?
Boats. New World? That would be difficult. But they'll just dumb the game down. Maybe. They may streamline some things, which may or may not be a good thing.
Build it. So yeah, the expansion I think will go on sale. And if it does, for anybody who hasn't picked it up, I would highly recommend picking it up on discount, because that's going to be your entry fee to the New World Aeternum. And while you might be like, I'm done with them, it's like, honestly, when the marketing and hype kicks in, I would say that most likely, at least if nothing else, you'll come back and check out the channel and see if it's worth checking out, right? Like marketing has, like, the reason why these companies spend so much money, you know, to get Asmon to stream it or something like that, because it works. Like, if it didn't work, then they'd be like, no.
However, I don't know how much it works in the long term.
Yeah, that's, you know.
Well, if it doesn't work in the long term, then they just stop supporting it and basically don't lose money after a certain point.
Yeah.
So they'd rather it work short term and get them something than not work at all, long or short.
Yeah.
But I imagine they'd also like it to work short and long term if they can manage to make it do so.
Yeah, I just haven't seen, from what I've seen, those like sponsored streams don't work for the long term. You get like a short spurt of players and then they just drop off.
That's most of the game. That's most of the games though right now.
Yeah.
You know,
those are the people who are playing it because people are covering it and other people are playing it. And those are the bandwagon ones that will drop off. And then the people who actually enjoy the game will stay behind.
Yeah.
As is common in almost every type of game. Curious to see how smooth they get it feeling on console. Hopefully smooth. Hopefully when I jump into it. I haven't played it on controller, so I don't know how it might feel.
Maybe that's the problem. Mordigan says was actually not looking for a total rework that the game needs, but I felt let down and didn't at least do an expansion like they did last year, despite only being a 20-hour thing. I think their big mess in there. I fixed the problem. I was like, I could not get this thing to load. So I just rolled back a lot of changes I didn't need to, but I'll get this rebuilt. Not a big deal. They didn't speak to their core community, and that was the biggest problem.
Well, I guess I missed all these major changes they're making that everyone's upset about. So what is it they're changing that people don't like?
Well, they've made a lot of the changes, right? So it's like the game already has, like they've been reworking the combat. It's added in controller support. They've got matchmaking for different pieces of content. It does tell me that from now till the new release, they're just investing in that build. It sounds like because they really want to have it. That chat says it's badly optimized. Man, I hear that a lot about a lot of games that are just on PC. And it's like that's where it's like I don't have any optimization issue because I play primarily on GeForce Now. So it's like oh man. But the same thing, like I've been hearing people complain about Rest of the Wicked because they're, like it's struggling on their Steam on their system.
I will be right back.
All right. Yeah, I'm not sponsored by him, by the way, Shab, just so you know. I pay my monthly fee. I am on the ultimate tier, so I have a 4080, and it is incredible. You can try out the free tier. They do have a free tier, which you can see if it actually will work for you. Now, on the free tier, if the service is, if a lot of people are using the services, they might put you in a queue before you can get in. But if you're in a paying tier, like it's instant access. So if you're ever like, is this a service that would benefit me? try out the free tier, see if it works, because maybe you live in an area that the connection isn't as good as it is here in Texas or something like that.
Especially if you're like me and you don't have an actual gaming PC or a PC capable of gaming. You could have an old dusty work laptop and bust up GeForce Now or Shadow or something like that and be able to play those PC games. You're like, man, I really wish I could play that, but I don't have a PC and it's PC only, which is what motivated me to get those things to begin with. And they do work pretty well, and they will let you play pretty much any game that you see on PC that you're like, man, I really want to try that. Keep in mind, you still have to buy your games, but you will be able to play them.
Apparently, my parents were watching the kids because we went and picked Maddie up from camp today, so I've been in the car most of the day, and Julie's just texting me that apparently they've been pretty bad, so we're gonna have to bring down the hammer on the kids. Like apparently Mikey yelled at the Dippin' Dots guy, and I'm like, what? That isn't him. He might be overstimulated, but that's still no excuse. What's up, Vol? How you doing, dude?
What's up, man? How's your Saturday?
It's been a lot of time in the car, and then I had to go buy a fridge because we woke up and our fridge was not working. And it's
now, did you get the tablet fronted fridge, or are we talking like some stainless steel, some classic?
We went stainless steel for the look and feel. I tried to talk Julie into getting a like the GE profile fridge, and it was like, this is great. My last one was GE, and it lasted 16, 17 years. And then but we went with the Samsung, which I was kind of worried about because I've seen some bad reviews about Samsung, but apparently they've kind of fixed their ice maker issue, which was kind of a core component. But we went ahead, and this is the first time I've ever done this, bought the extended warranty on it, so it's through Lowe's. So it's like and they're like, Lowe's says that with the warranty, you just call them and they'll handle it. They'll, either replace it or come out and fix it or something. Which I'm like, great. If I know where you're at, I don't have to worry about trying to track it down. So we got a, it's like, I think the Bosch line or something like that. So it's got, it has a thing has a water pitcher inside of it that it fills up, and you can also go in and get, water, but it's not in the door. And we have the ice maker in the freezer. So one of the things that we've read that's been causing fridges a lot of problems is that they tried to have the ice maker in the fridge, so the system is like trying to balance out two different temperatures, and that it seems to kind of wear it out. So we're hoping that we can get this fridge will last us for a long, long time, but we will find out.
That's one of the things I like.
Catch you guys later.
All right, see you, Clink. Have a good day,
fun. Dude. He's gonna go back and get stuck in the Matrix. That's what me and my friends call it. We're stuck in the Matrix when we're at work.
Oh, that was Mike. I thought it was Clink was here earlier.
Yeah, that was one of the nice things from when I moved from my old house to my new one. I had an older fridge, and then now this one we've got the ice maker. It's got the water and all that stuff, and I'm like, it's stainless steel. Like, yeah, I don't know why I didn't just buy one of these before. Way more convenient than trying to use ice trays and put extra water pitchers in the fridge and all that.
Mortigan writes in chat, says, I think, like you said, the major issue is that all the content is for new players. For us with the fully gemmed 700 gear score and 250 in every crafting, there's really nothing for us to do, so no consumer hook to stay. And you're 100% right, Mortigan. Now, I do think that they will have stuff for veteran players, but that's not what that announcement yesterday was about, which it only then makes all of the build up kind of this big FU. I don't think it was an intentional FU. I don't think they thought of it like that, but they didn't talk to the people who've been, oh, hey, June, we knew that they were going to talk, like anybody who knew that New World was going to have a June announcement didn't get what we've been kind of promised.
Yeah. I think that was quite risky doing this because you get sort of what you could probably call the Disney effect, where the core audience is disenfranchised, and in doing so they show their displeasure on things like reviews, YouTube, that type of thing, and then that wards away all the people who they were trying to get in the first place, which was all the tourists and all the casuals. Come play our game. All the hardcore people are like, don't play the game, it's terrible, and then they end up not playing the game.
Guess we'll have to see. They're going to be bringing it to like an entirely new platform, so all the people that don't keep up are just going to be like, oh, a new game. Oh, this used to be on PC. I don't really get to play PC games. Let me see if I can give this trial. The trailer looks cool.
Yeah,
kind of.
I think it's really hard in today's age because everything is kind of multi-platform to begin with. It's only MMOs where that's not really the case anymore.
Yeah. Just to catch anybody up in chat who's coming in and hanging out. No, they have not yet shown the New World stuff. It seems like their schedule's a little bit wonky. So we're just kind of hanging out, chatting. So thanks so much for being here, guys. And thank you for the 32 likes. Sorry, Val, I didn't mean to cut you off. I've just seen a couple people.
It's fine.
Couple people
I
asking
just hope
like,
New World does well. I just really hope it does well. It's an MMO I've been waiting to sort of mature and actually flourish a bit before investing any time in it, because I like the way they've done their business model. I like, the ideas of how they brought back a lot of the ideas that were prominent in the early 2000s. And it's just a different type of experience that I think a lot of people aren't used to in today's age. So and it seems like the devs care, and that's also another thing. It's really hard to get a dev team which cares. So I just hope it succeeds.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Morgan says, the funny thing is that it was only the hardcore where we're watching the announcement, and they were watching for the announcement, and anyone watching this was the biggest kind of middle finger. Yeah, that's exactly right. Like they could have, and all it needed, I think, and it was I think Dot's channel who brought this up earlier. You know how they could have really done and got a win in both categories, because I'm not against them advertising the game to new players and bringing in new players. Like, I think that's smart business. That's what we want as veteran players. We want a healthy flow of new players so that the game can continue to grow and thrive. But all they had to do was just come out and say, like, even before the show, like they could have done this last week, be like, guys, we're going the announcement, on Friday. It's gonna be big. It's gonna give you guys good detail, but on Monday we're gonna talk to you guys directly about all this, because it's the announcement, it's the dev update. All of that is just marketing. It isn't what we've seen and come to know in the dev updates, where they sit down and they talk about what they're working on, what they're excited about, what the issues that they're hearing from the community are. And so if they go into this and say, hey guys, by the way, for the veteran players, we're going to talk to you guys directly, on Monday. It didn't even need to be day and date. It's like, but they should have set that expectation, because the entire time is like, okay, June. Oh, we can't talk about any of this. So all of our questions that we've been asking has just been managed by just wait for the announcement in June, and the announcement in June didn't answer those damn questions.
I do wonder if they thought this would have been a really, high five achievement moment, where
I think it is. It's a
complete on board.
I think them bringing a console and that, this is, in my mind, a Realm Reborn kind of, moment where it's like they're pouring a lot of investment and development time in. I think overall, I think this is something achievement, I would classify this as achievement. I think they missed the marketing and communication,
I agree. I think you're being a bit too generous, though, from a Persona perspective.
That's me. I'm definitely an optimist.
It's Final Fantasy.
I think Brian's comes from a place of wanting it to be positive.
Yeah. It very much reminds me of FF14 bringing it to Xbox, while the game is really bad for a lot of people playing the game, and then they're like, "Great, you're bringing it to Xbox. Don't really care."
Well, and it was also, and then you have me going hey, they're bringing it to Xbox. Don't give them money, because this is how it works right now. And then after that, then you see people going game's not selling well on Xbox. Biggest flop ever. It's not a flop, dude. It's like, it's like, no, they're, it's like it's a good thing that it's here, but it's also strange, because if they didn't lock you into the subscription, like if you could opt back into the free trial restrictions, because guess what? Oh man, I know people who are like, I would love to play Final Fantasy 14, but I'm in the military and it just isn't going to work out well. I'm home for 2 months out of the year, which I could play, but then it's like, oh man, it's like, yeah, you should totally be on the free trial. Don't hand Square Enix money. That is the weirdest thing. And that's why I like the business model that New World has put together. Buy to play. optional seasons that you can purchase if you want, cash shop stuff that you can purchase if you want. Yeah, especially on console, I think is going to be much more well received, and I do wonder if we'll see them add in, like, you know, as part of the hype and just getting crazy numbers. Hey guys, we brought this to Game Pass or something like that. You know,
I just wonder if we're going to see MMOs just become a lot more console centric in the future now, because
yes,
console is a large market. It's not as demanding as PC is. It's a lot more forgiving than PC in many ways.
Yeah.
It doesn't require all the add-ons. The community is a bit more consumer orientated. They're a lot less preachy, and not to say it's bad about the PC community. We certainly get our way. But the console audiences are a lot more zealous and, you know, don't think, just consume product, wait for next product type of person.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I like PC gaming. I think it's a lot of fun, but I get that there's the argument and the fear that people have. It's like, oh, I don't want to get into PC gaming because what if my graphics card needs an update? There's so many things that they like. The people, when they just want to sit down and play a game, and so I think that's why, like, things like GeForce Now solve that problem.
Tiger brings up a good point. He says PC players are now second-class players. That's not true. That's what Xbox players have been saying about, you know, Xbox players are now second-class players because it's on PC as well. The truth is that all the things we've prized are now getting phased out. You know, mods, add-ons, you know, third-party softwares, all these things are going. Everything's becoming more streamlined. Brian, you said, like, hardware. That was another one. That's getting phased out. It's all going to cloud.
Yeah.
And if it's on cloud, none of these things exist. Piracy is going to be gone. You're not going to be able to pirate anything when you don't own it natively. And
people are worried about that. You know, that future of not being able to, like, what was the phrase? You will own nothing and be happy.
You will own nothing and be happy.
Ugh.
But this was
that Ubisoft?
No, that was
wasn't it a misquote?
That was the.
I think Ubisoft said that gamers need to get used to not owning their games.
And
yeah, they did say that.
But they meant what I said before of you will not own any games.
Yeah, but he's correct in the world we're living in, because even when I was at Dell, we were constantly talking about the circular economy, about you're going to be on a lease. You're not actually going to own even the hardware. Once 3 to 5 years is up, we'll take the hardware back, recycle it, and then give you newer models. So it's kind of framing this of, yeah, you're going to own nothing, but at the same time, you're going to get the benefits of owning the newest thing for a much cheaper cost. So they're trying to strip ownership with convenience. And I'm going to be honest, convenience wins every single time.
In the consumer realm, absolutely it does.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're just thinking about somebody who's like, and that's where marketing, like, Call of Duty can still be on every platform, but because Microsoft has the marketing rights to Call of Duty, anytime people see Call of Duty, they're going to see the Xbox logo, you know?
Brian, in a year, that's going to be on your fridge.
Well, you can play Game Pass in a ton of places, and Call of Duty's on Game Pass. So.
Yeah, Steam reviews are overwhelmingly negative now, I would think, because I'm hearing they're getting review bombed, which... I think that's a tool that we wield. I'm not against that as a practice, as long as you have skin in the game, and that's where Steam reviews I hold in higher regard than something like Metacritic, because Metacritic is just like, you know, like anybody can go write a review, and but on Steam it's like, oh yeah, you have money, you put money into the pocket.
Brian.
Yeah, go ahead.
Does Xbox have reviews on their store? Because Sony doesn't.
I don't know.
We do
actually.
Do they? Because
we do have reviews.
PSN has no reviews, so this is another thing I was thinking.
So if you go look at a game in Xbox Store right now and scroll down, there'll be a whole tab, and it doesn't just have good ones. It'll have absolute meme ones. It'll have ones there's talking smack about. It'll have all.
There's a star rating.
Yeah, stars, but also a written review under the.
I mean, actual written reviews where people are slagging off the game.
But how much can we truly trust that? Because we all know that there's plenty of bot reviews out there. You know, it's like
there is
companies that there are people who literally just get paid to go write reviews. You know, it's like hey.
I see more either meme or genuine reviews when I'm on Xbox personally. You'll see some really. Keep in mind, they're all player reviews. They're not like a reviewer came and put this review up for the game on Xbox. But there's a lot of genuine ones in there. Some write pretty long ones. Some people just write meme ones.
Yeah.
And stupid ones that are usually pretty easy to filter out when you look at them immediately.
The thing I think about reviews though is I see that being a market that as more and more games kind of go into, like, let's say Game Pass. Game Pass as a service takes away the overall risk and the reason why chances are you'd want to use a review to decide whether you want to play a game, because if you have Game Pass and then it's there, it's like, well, I'll just go play it for myself and see what I think. And that ends up being something where it's like I could see reviews, the value continue to diminish, because we also have seen that people have shifted to say, I go to live streams to kind of decide if I want to purchase the game, and then I go to reviews to, either, agree or disagree with various different opinions, and it's
Game
like,
Pass is a bit of a Game Pass is a bit of a double-edged sword here, because if it's a closed-off garden, that's great. Microsoft, if something's not making Microsoft money for that subscription, they can kick it off. Disney Plus did that with, what was the dwarf thing?
I don't know.
There was a show with a dwarf thing. I can't remember what it was. It made them zero money. It was taking up more. It was costing them to host it on their servers more than they were getting from it.
Oh wow!
Okay. Talking about Willow?
That's it. Thank you. Willow.
Oh wow! I didn't know they took it off. I didn't know they made it.
Yeah, they didn't make.
Yeah, no one was watching it, so they took it off.
But at the same time, it's just you're not owning anything. Well, you don't own anything now, but you own it even less than you do now.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a problem here for devs with Game Pass because it's a transactional fee. It's not a profit sharing scheme. So you also have the problem of you're oversaturating content.
Yeah.
So, and if you're an indie dev who has to go on Game Pass, you're not competing with Diablo 4. You're not going to compete with Dragon's Dogma 2. You might as well just not be on it at that point.
Yeah.
My 2 cents on it. It's just very hard, it's for especially smaller companies to sort of break in today's really competitive market. But I also think if New World did go to Game Pass, it would have and WoW was on Game Pass, it'd probably have a struggle, I think, as well.
Yeah, I think if they added WoW to Game Pass, that would be a real shifting moment in the MMO industry, because all of a sudden your biggest MMO is now accessible to even more people. And just like as I look at Final Fantasy versus WoW, wait a minute, like you can be a part of Game Pass and play WoW, and now that it's on GeForce Now, that it's like, it's just more accessible, that would be something very interesting to see, just like how would, if anything, change within the industry. And then the theory that I would wonder is that do we then see other MMOs join into those services? Like if you have PSN, you have this MMO. If you have this, you have that. You can sub into it individually if you like, but there's obviously, like, you could then say Final Fantasy gets $5 a month for players through Game Pass, and it's not the full 15, but now they have 10 million players. It's like, okay.
I could imagine. I couldn't imagine $5 a month per player. I could imagine like maybe $5 a month per every 50.
Yeah.
It's because at that point economies of scale is working into place. If you have like 10 million players,
right,
that's probably more money than they would have got stuck on 500,000 to 1 million.
Yep.
Whereas, but again, it's the problem with subscription services is that they're only good as long as they keep growing.
Yeah.
The minute they stop growing, they need to get return on investment from elsewhere, and that's where you start to see the enshittification happen. Of we're going to start, putting tiers and multiple different things in multiple different tiers. Like Game Pass is a good example of that. You have Core now, and then you have, which is what, $5, and then you have the next thing, and then the next thing. If that keeps stagnating, it's just going to get worse, and you're just going to start to see more things getting pushed up into the higher bands, where Microsoft's going to start saying, look guys, if you actually want this, you're going to have to actually pay for it.
Now, Da11 says, I have zero over on Twitter, Twitch, says, I have zero problems with them going to console. Also, by the way, they strung me along with the wait till June as a PC player, and it's left a terrible taste in my mouth for AGS, though. I don't blame you on that at all. for that bad taste in your mouth, because yeah, that's what happened. And it could have been so much better if they were like, you know what, we're gonna have this announcement, and then we're gonna talk to the PC players directly. They should have had that. The dev update that they sat down and gave us was also that same kind of marketing, that same kind of public announcement, and not speaking to their PC players. They need to talk to their current player base at some point, and the sooner the better. And that would be ideal.
So okay, so El Dragon Man brings up an interesting thing. I'm gonna push back against it. They said we have accepted it with movies via Netflix and stuff. It's only a matter of time. We just accept the same for games. The difference is that with movies, physical media is still a thing, whereas with games on PC, it's not. Like, you can still go out and buy a 4K Blu-ray of Godzilla -1 or whatever. You can't do that with...
It's starting to become a thing on all games in general. There you see the final push toward permanently only digital. Right. And there's some games that aren't making a physical copy whatsoever that are modern mainstream.
They literally announced, I think it was Alan Wake 2 didn't do that well or whatever, but then they come out and now they're like, hey, Alan Wake is going to have a physical edition. And I was like, all right. It's like,
I will laugh if that physical
edition push toward it no matter what, just because it saves companies money and they don't care about.
I will genuinely laugh if that physical edition is a card with the digital code on it, because that's more what I've been seeing with physical.
I think they just want the box. They're like, we want to see in your background your box. We'll be probably rearranging the office, but I've been finding some of my old games this year.
I actually think Amazon Game Studio would probably do well with their live services if they were consumption model based.
Boom. Final Fantasy 2 on SNES, and then here's where things got great. Obviously, Super Mario Brothers 3. I love that for the NES. Check this out, dude. The original Dragon Warrior, aka what is now Dragon Quest, and Dragon Warrior 4, baby. And then finally, some original Final Fantasy on the NES. So, yeah, we've been...
Do you have a floppy disk in that office?
Dude, no, I do not have a floppy disk.
Just saying, because those game cartridges are older than I am.
That's where it's like, try to, Julie got me for Christmas like 2 years ago. We haven't ever hung it up. So like, as we're going to shift her desk, which is usually, it's over here. Let me move my hand out of the way. So we're going to shift her desk and try to move it next to mine, shift my desk down, put her desk there. And then might shift the couch, put the she got me a neon ginger prime, kind of a sign, which I was like, put that up.
Pretty sweet.
And then what I want to do is like with that, like I've seen a lot of the other YouTubers where they'll have kind of that lighting and different like kind of mood lighting or something like that for their content and streams. I'm like, well, that might look good. I don't know.
Yeah, fan of it myself, but whatever.
Yeah,
I do wonder what's going to happen with Amazon Game Studios, because they're effectively becoming the MMO studio with how many MMOs they're trying to have.
They've got
Throne and Liberty, New World, Blue Protocol, soon to be Lord of the Rings. Is there any more that they're publishing?
They're doing a racing game that they announced like a week or two ago. They also announced the Tomb Raider game that
Here's my problem. That's 4 live service games, all competing for probably what is the same population of people.
I don't think it's the same population of people, because I mean, when you think about Blue Protocol, whole different aesthetic and different game. But your point being though, and I would counter with this idea, Amazon Prime Gaming, where all of a sudden it's like oh, New World doesn't have a subscription. Well, you do get all these things from Amazon Prime, so they're like, rather than try to push you into different kinds of subscriptions, I think essentially you're just gonna be like, we're gonna really like add this value to Amazon Prime to where the point you're like, do you like any of these games? Yes, you should get Amazon Prime.
It's not really a cost thing I'm talking about. It's more a time thing.
Oh yeah, time
like
for sure.
So much time that people have. So if you're an MMO player, what's the thing that MMO players do? We see a new MMO, we all flood into it. We're there for about 3 to 4 weeks, and then we leave. And then that's a 90% drop. And then you get a bunch of these stupid news articles going, MMO is dead. Games lost 90% of population, and that does not look good for these companies. But that's just how the market works, because companies only really retain about 10% of the overall population anyway from any game that released. You know, Diablo's probably got a tenth of its player base, even though it's probably a much larger player base than people think. But it's just that type of mentality I'm worried about. It's like you've got 4 different MMOs, and it's not going to look good if all 4 of them have 90% of the population has gone on all of them. You know, because that does impact, I think, investment.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Paul brings up an interesting point. New World is the only in-house game that they've published so far. So that's the only game they really have any major stake in.
Didn't they have another one where it completely died, and then they just scrapped?
Yeah, but like they put all their eggs into the basket of New World. After that,
it doesn't feel like it though. That's the thing, right? It's like, where's the Amazon money?
Yeah.
Well, the Amazon money, like like the engine, like all these things that they're working on investing, I think it's there. Like Amazon is all in on gaming, and New World sold really well. I think with the Lord of the Rings, it's going to do even better because it's like it's an established IP that people like. The team is able to kind of learn and have like these, the problems that New World suffered from originally. To have those solved doesn't mean it won't have new problems, but if nothing else, it's like, hey, we've got this, and I think the Lord of the Rings game is going to sell incredibly well because by the time the bad taste kind of gets out of your mouth and the marketing kicks up and everybody's like, oh man, can you believe how? Because like Lord of the Rings in the New World engine is going to look absolutely gorgeous. It's going to look and sound so good that. Like they, people were like, "What is this game?" And so you would see a lot of people, especially with MMO players. Any new MMO, they're gonna, you kind of, this is gonna be the MMO that I finally quit all other games and only play this one, and they're in dramatic self-denial.
I'm a bit worried though because I do get a feeling like when Yoshi P comes out, he says, "Well, spare no expense." 3 years later, nothing's changed. In fact, it's got worse. And I'm just sat there going, "Where's the expense?"
His spare no expense was like, and that in and of itself was like, man. As much as it sucks because I want Final Fantasy 14 to be incredible because I love that game. I've got so much time and history with that game. I have different opinions about certain people within the community, but it is what it is. It's like it was really satisfying to watch as people were just saying the most horrible things about me for critiquing the game. And then all of a sudden, oh, he was right the whole time. It's like, and to the point where people like, I haven't like talked, I would see them and be like, don't y'all like owe Ginger Prime an apology? Like this is like, now they're saying the thing that I was saying and they don't even realize that, that. And I was like, well, there's a little bit of satisfaction that I've gotten with when time is applied. And that's one thing that if I have a strength when it comes down to anything, I have an unlimited supply of patience,
Yeah, it's just like but that's the vibe I'm getting. It's like, oh yeah, the money's there, you just can't see it. And it's, I just hear it's like Yoshi P's out. It says, oh yeah, we can't find people to train to tell like bullshit.
So here's where the frustration is though, right? Here's the frustration where it's applied to New World. The money, I've seen them use it as they've completely overhauled the game, bringing in the narrative, voice acting, so like you can now, like if you sat down and played the game now from the start to the finish, like it has a complete story narrative that is delivered. And I think they've done a really good job. They've got animated cutscenes and things like that. So they brought in that aspect that was not in the game when it launched. And so when it comes to a relaunch, a lot of people are going to find that it's way more familiar. But that's where you see the active player base is like, well, what's for me? And it's like, well, we spent all of that money right now really just overhauling the core game. And so they need to also start talking about the future because they're delivering us a half a year roadmap. Like that isn't going to fly. I want them to say like, hey, with the console release, this is what we're going to deliver. And this is what you can expect from us consistently. One of the things that I would say I actually like the team. I actually like the people who are working on this game. I think they're doing a great job. There are things that I want them to get better at. And that's just a part of a growing thing, but they need to be able to start to communicate like, here's what we can do and then deliver that because aren't consistent in their delivery. We tend to get this 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Like, yeah, they added this and they did that, but they broke this. And then if they can develop that sense of like quality, even if it's not as much content as we want, I would rather them deliver quality with every update, so that you're not ever, because like right now it's just like, oh gosh, what are you gonna break now? Oh,
the game also does remind me of Guild Wars. I'm not gonna lie in terms of how that team's handled it. Not just in terms of payment method, but Guild Wars went with content with what, 5 years?
Yeah.
There was just nothing, but it had a really dedicated fan base.
Yeah.
And they tried everything to sort of grow it, except, put it on console for some reason.
Well, and then
Ellenberg thinks it's a poor management issue.
Could be.
Yeah, I can imagine. But it's like, again, I remember the head of Amazon Game Studios that we put in charge was a guy who knew absolutely nothing about video games. And I do worry that a lot of these VC venture capitalists departments, they're just wanting immediate return on what is effectively a 5 to 10 year project that is probably not going to do that within the first weeks, but might do it over its overall lifespan. And it's just like, that's where you saw what was what group ended up buying up half the classics in the industry again?
Embracer,
that's it, thank you.
And now they're just completely cratering.
Yeah.
It's also why there's so many layoffs in the industry now, all across tech. It's because all these VC companies are going bankrupt. It's like, what'd you do? But, New World's probably going to be fine. But I do worry how it's going to compete with Lord of the Rings.
I don't think it's going to necessarily compete. I think it's going to be essentially kind of like the Lord of the Rings grandpa, where, again, after their 10 year, because they said they've committed to this game for 10 years. After the 10 years, like, okay, cool. They can kind of let it just be what it is, right? Maybe enter in kind of maintenance and kind of minor support like Final Fantasy 11 and older games. Cool. But then they fulfilled the promise. So that means, to me, they said, hey, we're committed to this game for 10 years. Great. So when they come out and say that for the Lord of the Rings, they even when times were tough, even when the player bases were frustrated, they didn't say, like other companies have, pack up and go away. And that's one of the false equivalencies a lot of players have made against AGS, is they're like, well, EA canceled Anthem. Well, this company quit as well. Like, those companies did. And you should remember that they did that, because if EA was like, here's another live service game. No, I'm not going to even try it, because you told me when you mess up, you're going to just quit. Where in AGS's cases so far, they haven't quit. And as long as they don't quit and they stick it out, I think that's going to help and benefit, Lord of the Rings. But I do think that when Lord of the Rings comes out, that probably will be kind of their bigger thing. And that's why I don't anticipate Lord of the Rings until 2028, right? So because they announced it last year, right? So like at a minimum 5 years, maybe even longer. But regardless, 5 years plus the 3 that's already with New World, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like, that means that there will be some overlap. Assuming 2028, it could be a 2030 game.
I'm going to be honest, I hope when a lot of these, because, every live service is doing a 10-year journey these days, because they're following, the Destiny model and things like the FF14 model. Just turn them into single-player games at the end of their service. Add some, what you call it, LAN-to-LAN connect, peer-to-peer LAN connections, that type of stuff to allow, or add AI, because AI is going to be 10 times better than it is today by 2030. Just get AI bots in there. Follower dungeons are already in most MMOs.
Dakun says, but I feel like they've quit on the PC side. A lot of us, I do. I think that's an actual, the most accurate feeling of way to describe it. It does feel like they have turned their back on the PC. That's where they need to go. Like, they don't have to keep their back turned to the PC players. They could talk to us. They could sit down and say, hey, here's what we're going to do. And here's what we're doing. And this is because hopefully they took some lessons from this announcement, right? That it's like, okay, well, maybe we need to handle that differently going forward.
Yeah, it feels like a Neverwinter situation where Neverwinter on console is 10 times better than Neverwinter on PC. And it's just like, what's going on? Because the game was out on PC for what's 15 years.
Yeah. Yeah, the video yesterday was, and again, it's because everybody who was watching that event for the announcement is already a player, is already invested in the game. Yeah. And then it was like it was in a whole other language, because it wasn't meant for us. And then that only then goes to say, well, couldn't you have talked to us about it? And yes, I get maybe you wanted to hold off on the console announcement piece, right? But you can say, hey, we're doing this thing. We're addressing, like, they could have told us that swimming is coming. They could have told us the raid with 3, etc.
I'm just going to be honest. I don't think swimming's that much of an announcement. It's like, wow,
swimming isn't content. It isn't content unless all of a sudden they put.
People have been asking for swimming, but it's like the least important thing in the entire game.
It's like, welcome like, to 2004.
No, like, the game has been fine without swimming. It's fine. Like, I feel like
maybe we lost one player because they didn't have swimming.
It just seems dumb.
But it's just like, welcome to 2004. You've added in something which is so basic when it comes to just water. It's just like, what is going on here? I don't. It's at least I hope it's better than FF14 swimming.
Yes, but Final Fantasy 14 swimming is just like, it's awful.
But I will say the strength of New World, and it is a strength, is dedicated community and not that much baggage, because it's not that old yet.
Yeah.
And if you're doing FF14 has a lot of baggage, whether people like it or not. You know, they're coming out, oh, we've got the graphics update. I'm like, yeah, that should have happened probably 2 years into its live service. And it's like, oh, we're bringing out all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, that should have happened throughout the service. You're only getting to these, what I would characterize a lot as minor issues, 10 years into its lifespan. And it's like, where's the fixes to the transmog, the glamour systems? Where's the fixes to all of this? And it's just not there. And it's just like, I've been there since, 2.0 beta on PS3. And it's just like, I'm not playing it anymore. And I haven't played it for about 2 years. And it's, I'd rather play New World than play FF14, because at least New World's a new experience. And that's when, the trailer from the Game Fest, I was like, yeah, good. I was really happy with that. I was like, yeah, let's go. But if you're an older player, yeah, I can see you're pretty dissatisfied.
Yeah.
But
wait, this is not a complete cash grab project, that's all? I'm confused.
Every project's a cash grab project.
BDO online is up there. Wait, I'm confused.
BDO was great.
BDO is a fine game. It's pay to win to a certain degree, but it's not a bad game by any means.
People keep trying to get me into BDO, and I haven't taken the bullet yet.
What MMO isn't pay to win?
Yeah, I mean, most MMOs these days are pay to win.
I'm sorry, most games are pay to win. The minute you have a cash shop in a game, it's pay to win.
Yeah.
Because you're paying to get something that you could normally get in game. It's like Diablo. It's like, Diablo's not pay to win. I'm like, you can literally get the best cosmetics in a cash shop. That's pay to win if you're into collecting cosmetics.
Yeah, it's all what is your definition of winning.
What player persona are you, and what's your win condition?
Yeah, Final Fantasy. I've seen people make the case of Final Fantasy 14's pay to win, because if you're winning is collecting all the mounts, the only way you can get all the mounts is you have to buy them.
Cash shop.
Yeah, and it's like, all right. Now, I get the more traditional where people get frustrated. Is like, oh, I bought a sword and now you can't beat me. Like that in and of itself is like, all right. And that's where I think isn't that something that's a little bit more BDO.
BDO is I mean it's more BDO. It's like what you call it, crystals and actually upgrading equipment.
Then not sure how BDO is pay to win. Okay, if you spend thousands of dollars, that 10 years to get pen can be done in like a month. Like, I'm not sure how anyone like.
I'm not sure how this Korean game is pay to win.
Like, I've been playing BDO for a while. It's very pay to win. Also, too, the best campsite, like the best camp,
dude. Good joke, dude. I love that.
Tent can only be purchased.
Yeah.
Pay to win is only restricted to PvP. Depends what you define as your win state. If you're into PvE and your win state is, well, I want that cosmetic because I'm into collecting all the cosmetics. Well, pay to win. If it's PvE and you can just buy for silver, or what's the currency in the game?
So what I'm saying is that Phantasy Star Online is still the best online RPG. I love PSO, dude. That's I cut my teeth into that.
It's like you can literally buy a cosmetic, sell it on the marketplace, get a ton of what is effectively the game's version of gold. There you go. You've just got more of an advantage over other people. It doesn't matter if you're in an area.
You can never win BDO, dude. If you get full pen everything, like you win. Like
here's the interesting thing about it, because it's like this is something very unique to gaming, because like when it comes down to it, like I've seen people call Helldivers 2 pay to win, and it's like, yeah, you can pay to progress.
That's their internet,
but like what? Like that's a part of the game. It's part of the fun.
This is a problem, right? People are like, oh well, it's a third-party monitor pay to win.
Yeah, faster internet is pay to win. GeForce Now is pay to win, because like I have all the I get more advantages than you. Higher end PCs in PC gaming are pay to win. Yeah.
MMOs are meant to be an enclosed system. It's meant to be a living world where everybody's equal within that system. Of course you can get faster internet. Of course you can get a better monitor. Like
and now we have New World coming up.
Is it coming up finally?
An equal standard within.
Yeah, it looks like we got New World finally.
Hold on. Oh yeah, I see it in the background. Let me turn this
Game
up.
director Scott Lane.
All right. Yay! Finally.
Senior producer Katie Kaczynski. And Rob Chesney, narrative director
expecting
at Amazon
anything
Games,
for us.
here to tell us more and
Just
break down
FYI.
everything we may have missed in this brand new trailer. Guys, welcome to stage.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us here at IGN Live. Now, before we jump into the trailer, I need to know, what are you guys most excited for players to experience in New World Aeternum?
I'm excited. I'm crazy excited to bring Aeternum to console.
Yeah,
we want to
that's a good move.
get all those players in on the consoles, having massive battles, experiencing the combat. It's really awesome.
Sounds like they've stacked the.
I'm super
the
excited
audience.
that all these new players are going to get to see this world now fully realized. We talk about, Aeternum looks like a fantasy game in some ways, but we actually talk about it as a supernatural world, which means everything that's going on the island is tied into science or history somewhere. And of course, this is the island of mythology and legend. So we have this broad canvas to draw from for our storytelling and deep lore that we get into. And for players to get in and see that, I'm super excited. Plus, it means a lot to me as someone who tends to play solo, that it's fully soloable all the way from start to finish. You can play with your friends too, but...
Yeah, and I am absolutely excited to play Aeternum on my 4K TV, on my very comfortable couch, with my friends who exclusively play on their console or who exclusively play on PC. We're all going to be joined in the same world, and I am super stoked for that.
Let's go. I love that. All right, so without further ado, let's check out the trailer. Roll the clip.
Trailer. So far, nothing new.
Through the endless tides of time, they've come to these mythical shores, seeking mastery over death itself.
The voice acting they put in this game, I think, is top notch too.
A cruel and beautiful paradise.
The crowd is sus.
Where primal forces clash over the island's deepest secrets. Where ancient mysteries
I think this is an excellent trailer, by the way. Like, I love this trailer.
To unleash the power of legends. Where blades and bows unite. Where heroes are forged. And demons are born.
When you realize just how much of content creation is just BS in terms of that, like paid actors and all of that, it's like you're like, wait a minute. Like, nah. What was it? The Dante's one where they like hired actors to pretend like they were mad at the game.
Aeternum.
So it made press. It's like, ah. Yep.
Let's go. People are so excited here. Are you guys excited to see it? That was so jam-packed with tons of details. Guys, help me break it down. Let's roll the first clip, because here, in this clip, let's bring it up, we get a look at the Lost. So these are one of the factions in Aeternum, right? So we kind of get like this blue color scheme with them. What can you tell us about the Lost?
Yeah, so the Lost are an enemy type that you'll encounter in Aeternum. The really interesting thing about Aeternum is the death does not exist. So as many times as you die, you don't really. And so the same thing happened to these poor people who landed before you.
What's up, Nanny?
And every time they were reborn, Aeternum took a piece of them. They were lost to Aeternum. So every time they come back till they look pretty mangled. And Aeternum could do the same to you, but your soul is pretty strong.
Absolutely.
Soul Warden.
Now, in this next section of the clip, we get a look at this Dryad Deer, which is part of the Angry Earth faction, right? What is the Angry Earth faction all about?
So,
this is
the
all
Angry Earth
for people who have no idea.
We talk about Aeternum as Paradise Lost. It's inspired by that very much. And it's the Garden of Eden where things have gone horribly wrong. And that's what the Angry Earth is. They are an expression of environmental vengeance, the world striking back against players, against the other forces that are contending for power on the island. The Angry Earth, sometimes, I mean, they're natural, so sometimes they're a little more sympathetic. Sometimes they might even help the players out a little bit against other enemies. But cross them, and you'll pay for it. Like, they can be really tough.
Yeah.
Chronic says, don't you guys not have consoles?
All right, so
Paul
we got to
says,
look
clapping
at some of the
equals free
older
drinks.
tech. Now, in this next clip, we actually see a little bit more modern tech via the musket. What can you tell us about how all these different eras collide?
It was one of the things that we found really interesting early in IP development, because there's this period in time, it's almost like the last gasp of people with shields and swords and breastplates, and then the very first breath of gunpowder and muskets and firearms. And when you throw some magic into that, it just creates chaotic, interesting gameplay, and we loved it. That was one of the key drivers in picking this era.
Yeah, and awesome. You'll see in this clip one of our archetypes. So this is actually the musketeer archetype, and we pair at the beginning, we pair this with the rapier. So you have some really interesting abilities that you can do.
Absolutely. Now, in this next clip, we get a look at a tree that's pretty impressive, and it looks pretty significant. What can you tell us about the tree that's coming up right now?
So that's the Azoth tree, and Azoth is the lifeblood of Aeternum. It is a soul substance. It's tied into the soul of the island, the soul of all the people here. And it's also the source of magic. It's the reason why everyone lives forever. And we talk about even like there are ley lines running underneath the ground throughout the island, channeling this stuff. Players, of course, learn to harness it as they go deeper into the game, and it powers up a lot of their actions. And it's the tree itself is actually a manifestation of Gaia, one of the ancients, and a sacrifice that Gaia made to empower the island, imbue the island with the blessings that the players enjoy and all the people there.
Amazing. Now, people are so excited. I love it. Now, in this next clip, we get a look at the different weapon types in combat. What can you share about what we're looking at right here? So we see a musketeer. We see some magic in the background. Tell me more.
Well, this kind of demonstrates the combat of Aeternum, right? We have physical-based dynamic combat, and what we mean by that is your position in the world matters. You block, you dodge, you can duck underneath weapons and arrows and projectiles. And so what you see there is the musket, which is part of our musketeer archetype, and we have, 6 more archetypes that you can play? So, yeah.
Amazing. Now, I am so excited to check out this next clip because we see this shattered obelisk that is immediately attention-grabbing right here. What can you tell me about the background for this location in particular?
So this is a pretty iconic location in the game that you see in the first several hours. And we talk about the history of Aeternum. We don't talk about, it's not in centuries, it's in millennia. This is a world, an ancient world. We have ancient Sumerians, Babylonians, Chinese who came to this island. But even before them was this ancient civilization, and players see the ruins of it almost as soon as they land. And there's kind of a mystery about who were these ancients? What were they doing? Why did they summon humans to the island? And then what happened to them? And the Shattered Obelisk is it is part of that. It's one of the big clues in that mystery.
Yeah, and you kind of
drops a $5 super chat. Thank you, Fluffy.
Probably
what
my
is this new game that is launching on console?
Which is there's this mystery that you're just constantly trying to unfold, and the minute that you think you get it, you realize that you don't. So you don't know if this like magical element is coming from Aeternum itself, was maybe brought to Aeternum, or is not of this world at all.
Yeah. And one interesting thing about this, so in game development, generally what happens is you have a narrative and then that drives the concept art and how the art is created. In this case, one of our artists took it on themselves and they made this really cool thing. And we liked it so much that we had to write a narrative around this and get it into the game. Yeah. It was a little bit backward.
Awesome.
This is true.
We love to hear that. That's awesome.
Oh man, I hate marketing.
Now we talked about the
like
mystery, we talked about the narrative, we talked about combat, but in this next clip, we actually get a look at this boss that looks absolutely crazy. What can you tell me about this monstrosity?
This enemy is absolutely diabolical. I can't tell you too much because we're trying to keep some things a surprise, but I can tell you that that's one of the enemies in our 10-person raid.
Oh, 10-person raid, all right.
Yeah.
Now, we were chatting a little bit backstage, and this next clip shows me one thing that I think, Scott, you're pretty excited about. Here is resource gathering in just a second. What can you tell me about the resource gathering in New World Aeternum?
We have resource gathering.
I'm so glad we stopped here because a lot of times when you get into games, it's all combat, energy, action, action. And New World gives players an opportunity, if you're not in the mood for that, if you want some more chill gameplay, hit rocks, cut down trees. It actually feels really good. You can support your friends. So if you socialize with people who like a different style of game, they can go craft and make things that can make you better at the game. And on top of that, they can completely change the world. You could get a group of 3 or 4 people and deforest the forest, so when someone comes through there, it looks totally different this time.
Amazing. Now, I want to keep rolling in the trailer because there's so much to break down. In this next clip, we see a giant ice creature, and I need to know more. Tell me about who this is, how people can face them.
Yeah, so this is another one of our bosses in a 5-person expedition. So you're going to encounter them in the Glacial Tarn. And the very high-level backstory is that there are these giant machines deep in Aeternum that somebody put there to try and gather all of the supernatural resources of the world. And this ice giant is part of that. And your job is to stop one of your enemies from taking over those machines and gathering that energy and power.
Absolutely. Now, in this next clip, we see exactly what I would expect to take an ice giant down, a fire staff. This looks so cool.
Yeah.
I thought you guys would like that. I was like,
different
all right.
damage types will damage enemies differently. So what is the natural predator of ice?
I'm back.
Fire.
I think she left out an important piece, though.
Guys, if you haven't seen, we have a poll rolling right now. I think it's the most critical poll we've ever put out here on the channel.
Agree more. We love flamethrowers here. Now, in this next clip, we are in an entirely different biome. Tell
my
me
neighbor's
about
got like
the
a
sort of
whole
more
vegetable
sandy
patch
area.
back in his backyard.
What is this
growing
location
entire
all
heads
about,
of
right?
like stalks of corn.
Oh wow!
After this.
Got some of them off of.
Wait for it. Wait for it.
Nice.
There it is.
Yeah, right here. So we get some different things in the foreground and the background. Talk to me about this location.
So this is Brimstone Stands. It's one of the later zones in the game. It's the biggest one. It's massive. I mean, a vast desert just packed with interesting stuff. Narratively, you know, what I love about it is this is the place where the ancient Egyptians landed when they came to Aeternum thousands of years ago, and the Romans came later.
On your mic.
And there's kind of an interesting dynamic between them, the conflict between them that's still sort of present in the zone today. Players, as they go, and this is, I will say, as somebody who likes to explore, this is the best zone to explore.
They are really
in all of
lacking
Aeternum.
authenticity.
There's so much to do, and there's so many ruins. And you see in the image there the Ennead, which is a pyramid, one of the ancient ruins where the ancients once channeled the power of the stars. But as players go around and visit the Ennead and these other ruins, they're going to. It really gives you that feeling of being a treasure hunter, like Indiana Jones. You know, it's like that cool. For me, it's really fun. It's a unique part of Aeternum.
Are we talking about like the new
Sounds
world
like
and
a
the
shrouded
changes and all
mystery.
that?
Yeah.
Now
all they're doing is just
and up next in this clip, we're gonna look at a pretty particular enemy type.
It's going to be new to the people who have not been able to
giant
play.
sandworm that we see right
never
here.
played the game, never heard of it.
Look at that beautiful
But
face.
they
will be a new
Yeah,
experience.
that's Shauna
they
Shen. So Shauna
led up
Shen, you can actually
this entire
see in
event
the open world
to
and
say, like,
Brimstone
we'll
Sands.
tell you,
And you can join a 20-person
very
elite
patient.
trial,
basically
get some
portrayed as
badass rewards,
for
and
the
take
for the
Shauna
current
Shen
users,
down
but they basically
yourself.
presented as for the new users.
Now, up next, we see something that I'm pretty excited about. We get a look at the pre-order bonus mount,
Not the right
the
call,
Azoth Stalker.
This is not the right call.
What can you tell me about the different mounts that are shown right here in the trailer?
Maybe they would have been
Pre-order
so
bonus
you
mount.
can see a few of our different mount
bonus
types
mount.
here.
Okay.
My favorite is
That's
the
always
Dire
fun.
Wolf, and that
I've
is
not
the Azoth
played
Stalker
since
in the
before
center.
they ever added
That's the
mounts, so
pre-order bonus, which
not too
if you're
familiar
on
with how nice
PC,
those
you
are
get
or
a
not.
chance to grab that as
What?
well if
Yeah,
you log
Saber,
into
you
the
did.
game between June
They're
7th
okay.
and October 14th. So
Amazing.
they look so cool.
So if you're on PC at home, make sure to check that out. Now, we are
Yeah, really,
almost
it's just-
towards the end of the trailer, but we get this really striking
PC?
location in the
You
next
said
clip.
PC.
Talk to me about
But
what's
that's it.
going on and this more like mountainy location right here. We see this sort of gate and this like really
They
impressive
may
mountain
just be a
behind.
little out of
Yeah,
touch.
so as you
and,
land on
know,
the
need
beach,
to learn
you
to
start the
work.
game
Yeah,
in this
really
very
out of touch.
tropical, beautiful area, and you
Like,
quickly learn
but
that the
it also
nemesis in
depends
Chapter
on
1 is the
how
Tempest,
the
which
new
we'll
player
talk
base
about here in a minute.
responds.
This is, as you get further and
They're in
further
touch
into
with the
the
wallet.
island, it gets harder and harsher and scarier. What you're seeing there is you're in Great Cleave, and you're about to enter Shattered Mountain, which is where the
I
Tempest
lost all
lives.
my
This
trust
is
in
where the game
IGN
gets
when it
ultra
was clear they
scary,
were
gets
driven more
much
by
harder and more difficult,
activists
and
than
it kind of opens
gamers.
the door. And as soon as you get through the door, you'll see
Yeah, I
what you
don't
run
think
into.
IGN
Too much,
has it.
too much
Definitely
water.
sounds a lot more intimidating
Too
by
much
those
water.
red tones. In this next clip, we get a look
IGN
at this sort of. I'm assuming it's a boss. What can you tell me about this creature coming up right here? We get the eyes sort of like teasing it.
And
We
then
get
they
sort
brought
of
up
walking
even more
towards this
people
giant
so
could that be
fire circle, And then we
Isabella?
finally get the reveal
Huh.
right here. Talk to me about the Tempest.
So that's showing all the players getting up to this point, but that is
Who
the
could
Tempest. She's
Isabella
the
be?
villain
Who
of
is
the,
this creature?
The first chapter
Oh my,
of the story in New
Isabella.
World Aeternum.
She looks
and
different.
she is she has this really interesting backstory. She was once a human just like the players, but she embraced the power of corruption, which obviously comes at a
Brian,
cost.
how do you feel to be a paid beta
It also gives her
tester?
great power, and
I
she
feel
gets her
fine.
hooks
Like,
in the player. At the
I've
very
gotten my
beginning of the
money's
game,
worth with
and,
New
kinda
World.
Gets in your head, and she's taunting
I'm not
you and
bitter by
teasing
that.
you as
I'm
you go through
frustrated
the
with how
island,
they
trying
handled
to make you
2024 with
corrupted.
their communication
And so that's
and
one of
this
the motivations
and this
for the player
marketing.
is to
I feel
prevent
like
her from
I
turning
was
corrupted, as well as
promised
to stop her
something, and I
from
have not yet
world
seen what that
domination,
is.
of course.
Yeah, she
and
definitely
why it's a
tries to
value,
get
and so
into your
I think-
mind, that's for sure.
I
And
think the
the
devs
cool
really
thing about her
mishandled
is
her.
that we
Hey,
showed
Bert,
you the
Tempest is
multiplayer, the
not the new dungeon
5-person
coming out. It
expedition. You
came
can
out
also
like
take her
years
on
ago.
one-on-one.
It's in the game.
It was one of the first new
Amazing. Yeah,
dungeons
we got
to
a lot
come
of
out.
It's a
solo
great
players here. I
dungeon
love it.
too.
Dungeon.
Now,
Yeah,
in this
but
next
not
shot, we
new.
see a sweeping
couple
shot
years
of
old.
the island.
Yeah,
There
year and a
is
half at
lot
minimum.
to take in. We
Yeah.
get, a visual of the mountain here, the gate, the obelisk. What might people miss in this sweeping shot of the island?
Yeah, so
mean-
the main story takes you through a lot of what we talked about, but in the upper right part of the shot, there's an area of the map that we don't guide you to, and it's only up to the intrepid adventurers to go off on their own, off the beaten path, and discover what areas are over there and what enemies lurk in those corners. And then on the other side, we have some of those ancient machines I talked about, which are up to, again, the journeyers to explore.
Love it. And then, of course, we got a lot of explorers in the audience.
It did show some
eating this up. I
game.
love it.
It wasn't all CGI.
Finally,
It was a
we
blend
see
of
the
it.
world seemingly taken
showed
over
in-game
by
footage, but it
corruption.
wasn't all.
Right before we go to the key art game end card, what is the meaning of this shot? Talk to me about it.
Well, so of course, seeing the
You think this will
corruption
be
sweep
60
over the world,
FPS?
this is what will happen if the player wasn't there to stop it from
console?
happening,
I
right, to face
imagine
down the
so.
tempest. Corruption is an insatiable evil, and unlike the Lost and the Angry Earth that we talked
And
about.
why did you give us an
corruption
ability
actually
that's
comes from
corruption-based
somewhere
if it's an
else, and that's one of
insatiable
the
evil?
mysteries of the game is where corruption comes from.
That's my.
But I definitely
yeah.
want to call out this
Like, they don't
helmet
care
here
about the
because
lore.
it's one of the most iconic things in the game. It's associated with Captain Thorpe, the captain that the players are on his ship when they shipwreck on the island at the very beginning. He's kind of a brutal dude, and he falls to corruption very quickly and becomes your first really big enemy. And if you look at his helmet there, you can see a lot of like little hints and clues about the mysteries of Aeternum kind of embedded there.
All right, guys, so that is the end of the trailer. But before we wrap up, I need to ask you guys, what can you tell us about how the experience has changed for players over the last 3 years from New World to New World Aeternum?
So, honestly, it would be a lot easier to talk about what hasn't changed because the list of what's changed is so big. I think for me, the biggest change is the beginning of the game and the end of the game. The way we tell the story, the way we carry players through it, the part of the story. But then the end game has gotten so big and so rich, and there's and a lot of times when you play an RPG, when you get to the end of the level, whatever, or the cap level, you run out of content. Well, here, that's just a portion. That's when the game really starts. It opens up into this giant world.
Yeah, and I will say, if
Brain
you're
Eclipse, you
somebody
haven't
who
missed
started
anything.
playing in 2021 and you stopped, you're going to come
The
back to a
announcement
completely
was-
different game. If you're somebody
Yeah.
who played yesterday, this is a
Basically not even an
continuation of that
announcement.
really fun
If you were a
journey
new
that
player,
you're on.
this was great.
And if
If
you're
not,
a console
if you're a
player,
veteran,
this is
you're SOL.
Aeternum is the ultimate New World experience.
I think it's going to do really
Scott,
well when
Katie,
it comes to console.
Rob,
I
thank
think
you so
this
much
fall
for
is gonna
joining
be
us here
pretty
and helping us break
massive.
down the trailer. New World Aeternum is available October 15th on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and PC. And remember, for all things New World Aeternum, keep it locked to IGN Live.
Yeah, don't keep it locked to IGN Live because you're just going to get bullshit. Oh, goodness gracious. Well, everybody, I got exactly what I expected.
Same.
I was like, this was at least, I knew I was going into this. I was like,
end game in New World chest run. Yeah, basically.
Right. Well, and that's the thing.
The end game in New World is not endless. It's
no, it very well, you get to 700 and you're like, all right, there doesn't feel like to be much to chase.
New?
No, nothing in this.
Nothing was new.
Nothing here was new. This was more, and I expected this to be just more of the same. I do think, and I'll probably, if they don't do it on Monday, I'll put out a video. They need to talk to their players this Monday. The Forged in Aeternum that used to come out every Monday, but then they were like, well, we're going to stop doing that because we hear that you guys are getting frustrated because everything just keeps saying wait till June, wait till June, wait till June. Like, they need to sit down and have that conversation with us this Monday. And if they're gonna just pussyfoot around and not talk to their players, then what we will be doing this summer will be technically glorify beta testing, or we'll be playing PAX Day and Final Fantasy. Like, the nice thing is, the best thing out of all of this news is there's going to be something fun, whether you want to play with this community or not. We're going to have a fun summer. That in and of itself is something that I can guarantee. I cannot guarantee whatever the hell, we're going to be satisfied with what they do in New World, but I want them to succeed. I think this fall is going to be phenomenal. I think this fall is going to be absolutely phenomenal. And speaking of PAX Day, and I want to let Val talk for a second, but one second, Val. Speaking of PAX Day,
I don't know what they're doing.
one second, Val.
Hold on a second, Val.
No.
1 second. But speaking of PAX Day, guys, if you want to be more connected, the top link in the description will get you into the Discord, whether you want to be part of the New World stuff or you want to PAX Day or whatever. Generally speaking, we have a pretty chill group community here that you're welcome to join. All right, now go ahead, Val.
Oh wait, hold on a second. Bring back Fluffy Dogs for 5.
Oh snap!
To be fair, I paid a lot more to be a beta tester for Ashes, so I got a deal on.
Yeah,
New
I
World.
paid $250 for Ashes, and I'll be playing that this fall. You know, whenever that happens. So yeah, like all in all, I think I put more into Ashes than New World financially. Go ahead, Val.
Okay, now Val. Sorry. Is he on a delay?
This is the worst year to do it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, because of all the MMO expansions.
Yeah, I'm on a delay.
Oh, see, that makes sense because it was like, wait.
It's just bad in general because it's not just MMOs; it's every single game that's out this year.
Yeah, this year does have a lot of.
They had a perfect time 2 years ago, and it's just done. Like they've I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, the weirdest thing though is like we haven't heard anything about Throne of Liberty. We haven't heard anything about Blue Protocol, and now we know that New World's coming out in October. Do they try to push one of or two of those games this summer? Or does that tell us Blue Protocol might not even be out this year? They might just skip 2024 completely and let the devs continue to cook over on their end. I mean, that in and of itself is wild.
Paul brings up an interesting point. So they likely don't want to push more content into the live version then, and then Dot says makes sense, hold out on events, so they push a lot for console. It's like a...
I mean, I'm sorry, but you'll want more content if you're gonna, any content you do now, you can just push to console when it comes out, and that gives more content for console. That's not really
console players who step into this game in October are going to, hey, what's up, Chili? Are going to be greeted with a wealth of content, right?
Yeah.
So that, for them who've never been able to play this and can step into what I would describe as probably one of the most beautifully and sound engineered games that is just absolutely spectacular. And they're going to you got 65 levels. Who knows? The level cap could go up. We'll see. But you got 65 levels. You've got mounts. You've got this. You've got that. And it's they're going to have, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of enjoyment. Problem is, I did my time. I'm just under 1,000 hours on this game. And that's incredible for me. It's not necessarily incredible for everybody. People are at 5,000 hours. But that, and, yeah, I've got character at cap. I've got 700 gear. I enjoy the content. Let me know when the next dungeon's coming out, right? I'm looking forward to checking that out. Maybe I'll start making guides around that now. I don't know. Now that there's matchmaking, it's easier to kind of get into. One of the hardest things about it was that if you can't make a guide off the PTR, then you can't. And I was like, I can never figure out a party back in the day. So that's going to change, which will be great. But yeah, D says console will get everything PC wanted at launch. When they start, we've been had. We've paid to be beta players for console. Joke's on us. Now I think console is going to benefit the PC players as well. When you look at what the game needs, it needs a better player population, and with them adding in sharding, with them adding in obviously cross-server matchmaking, ultimately, hopefully that helps them solve their problem, because whenever people want to play New World, everybody wants to play New World, and you always had that queue time. So they've had that problem where it doesn't matter what direction the game's going in, it's going to struggle. Hopefully what we see here with sharding and with the world in and of itself, when that marketing kicks in, when you see all the big streamers doing the fresh start servers and all that stuff, and the numbers just, oh my gosh, New World's back in the top 10, blah, 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 blah. When all that happens, hopefully it's not, well, I would play, but there's a queue,
Mm-hmm. When was the release date again? October, right?
Officially, it came out at the last week of September, but they've been pushing their updates basically in October. They're, you think of it honestly, when they announced the release date and then had to shift again, it's they should have just October. That's usually when I expect these kind of updates. That's when Brimstone dropped. That's when the expansion dropped. That's when this relaunch drops.
I will jump in on console again because I just don't really play on PC, so I'll probably jump. The issue is October is already for me stacked.
Yeah.
Because, yeah.
What's stacked for you in October? I'm just.
Well, I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan, as you know.
Oh,
They've got the new
yeah.
Dragon Ball game after like a decade. It's really basically since the last game.
Yeah.
We're gonna be eating good on that one.
Well, you could. By the way, they're actually making it player like created stories. You can make your own stories in like an editor, and then have that online so other people can play it, which I find pretty cool.
Cool.
So if it's
and then also
October,
one of my first
you
ever
have
games.
Warhammer.
Yeah, and one of the first ever games I ever played was Sonic the Hedgehog, and Sonic Generations is also in October.
I'm interested to see what happens with Once Human. Do we have a date when that is officially out? Because I know First Descendant is is July 2nd.
I thought they said I thought there was a beta
I'm interested.
soon.
I've heard a lot of really exciting things. Like I like shooter games. I'm hoping that we learn about some Gears of War this weekend. You know, like with the Xbox event tomorrow.
Right?
Yeah,
I might
everyone's
have
just
to.
talking
I
about
might
it
have
coming
to.
PlayStation, though.
I might. Well, I'm fine with them bringing those games to PlayStation. Like, you want to see the Xbox tax like proved out? Bring your games to PlayStation and see how people are like, these games are amazing.
That's the thing. The news I only ever hear isn't like, what is Gear 6 going to be? The only thing you ever hear about it is, it's coming to PlayStation. You guys don't have games anymore. They're all of our games now.
By the way,
that's the only talk.
Yeah.
July 9th. Yeah.
July 9th.
Okay, and that's a beta though. That's not the launch, right?
No, I think that's.
It says launch.
Once Human.
I think it's the launch.
Oh well, if it's launching this summer, well, who knows? We got a lot of exciting
register now for extra rewards. So.
Oh, shocker.
They've had 2 years to make New World really good, and now they're coming up probably what is the most stacked year in gaming history. Worse than last year.
The most stacked year in gaming history for online titles.
Yeah.
It's not that stacked if you think about it overall. I think it's quite a dead year when it comes to actual AAA titles. But if you're talking about online games, yeah, this is not the year to release anything when it comes to an MMO, in my opinion, because you're running against
veterans.
ESO this month.
New World is technically a veteran MMO though too.
Yeah,
you know, so it's like it's got content. Like it's not, if somebody steps in on console,
you're running against the kings.
You're running against the kings, but the kings also, the two big ones, require subscription, and so this ends up becoming like a complete I need to subscribe to play your game. Not this one,
2 of the 4 require subscription.
Cool. Looks like chat's talking about how it launches on into July, but you can actually play now regarding 2 Humans. So maybe we'll try to find some time for that. I do know that I'm going to be playing 10 days from now. PAX Day early access drops. I really hope that they said it's also coming to GeForce Now and early access, so hopefully that's day and date, because that would be really great. Running it locally on stream, I had to crank up that DLSS because it was my stream and playing of the game was a struggle. The guys.
But June 18th is the ESO release on console.
Yeah.
It's already out on PC right now. July 2nd, because I'm going to go with the official release. July 2nd is technically Dawn Trail. I know early access is June, but technically it's July. Then August, you've got Guild Wars 2, because they've got their new expansion in August. And then probably September, you've also then got the World of Warcraft expansion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that September?
That's every month.
Cool. All right. Thank you, D. Hook me up with the information. Now, guys, this was kind of an impromptu. I didn't think I was going to be home for it, and then they delayed it for like ever. And so I've obviously run a little bit longer. Julie is home, and we've had a very long day, and I want to go be a good husband and not a in trouble husband. So I appreciate you guys coming and hanging out with me. I appreciate y'all. For those of you, 47 likes on the stream, 26 members here, and then 20 gifted members from Flup over on Twitch, and then $10 worth of super chat. So thank you guys so much for the support.
Let's make it to 50.
Nah,
50 likes, do it.
Oh, 50 likes. I was like, I thought you were trying to like challenge them to 50 members. I was like, dude, no. You guys being here is support enough. All right, guys, all that. Got to go adult, and I'm going to hit end stream, etc. I wish you guys all the best. If we might do something like this on Monday, because I'm expecting a Forged in Aeternum. Hopefully I'm not let down, but we will see. So keep it locked to the channel on YouTube. Be a part of the Discord and come hang out with us in voice chat. Anybody's welcome to come in and speak their piece. So, all right, guys.